Chapter 3664. Today, 500 yuan red packets will be distributed. Everyone quickly open WeChat, follow Feng Qingyang, and find the red packet password to exchange on Alipay. New users could see the red packet password by clicking on the history. It was just a few numbers. For Ancestral Divine Marshals, 2 Ancestral Kunpengs, 1 Ancestral Taotai, 1 Ancestral Cheong Chi, 1 Ancestral Ghost Fox, and 1 Ancestral Chaos, there were a total of 10 4th-era Ancestral Gods. As for the Ancestral Qilin and Ancestral Phoenix, there were 8 each. It was difficult for them to work together. In other words, if Long Chen could unite these 10 existences, he would become the strongest force in the entire primogenitor world. Now, he roughly knew how many 4th-era ancestral beings there were in the primogenitor world. Other than these 3 forces, there were a few scattered ones that were probably just waiting for their lives to disappear. Even the ancestral heart did not want to fight for them. In total, there were more than 30 ancestral beings. Indeed, not even half of their peak strength. However, all of them had 6 world origins, and 2 of them even had world origins. With such a force, they would definitely be able to crush the myriad of worlds. Long Chen could defeat any one of them, but if they worked together, he could only run for his life. He did not expect there to be so many terrifying experts in the cave of ancestral dragons. Fortunately, they could not get out. However, now came to the crux of the matter. The Ancestral Divine Marshals found Long Chen. What was the so-called deal? The Ancestral Divine Marshals went straight to the point. We guessed that since you came to this world, you naturally want to take back the ancestral source that once belonged to the ancestral dragons, right? Long Chen had a rough idea in his heart, so he nodded and said, "That's right, that's my current goal." "Tell us the details of the deal." The other party said straightforwardly, "The 10 of us can help you seize the ancestral source. As long as we help you defeat them one by one, the 10 of us can completely restrain the 7 opponents for you, giving you a chance to seize the ancestral source. The Ancestral Qilin and Ancestral Phoenix are like fire and water. Defeating them one by one shouldn't be difficult for you." This tempted Long Chen. If he could do that, then it would not be a problem. Then what do I need to do? The so-called transaction would definitely be something that both parties would gain. God One fell silent for a while before he said, "It's like this. You know that we've actually relied on plundering the primogenitor's heart to survive in the primogenitor's world. The primogenitor's world is different from the dragon sacrificial world. According to what I know, as long as we leave this place and go to the dragon sacrificial world, we won't have to fight for the primogenitor's heart anymore. So, you want me to take you to the dragon sacrificial world?" This gave Long Chen a headache. Putting aside what kind of changes they would bring to the dragon sacrificial world after they went there, the most crucial point was that he didn't even know how to go back now. As if sensing Long Chen's hesitation, God One said, "Don't worry. We just want to get rid of this boring life and end the fight for the primogenitor's heart. But it definitely won't have any effect on the dragon sacrifice world. That world itself doesn't have anything that attracts us. I came to find you today because I want to establish a friendship with you and help each other out." If they really went to the infinite worlds, with his current understanding of God One, it was indeed unlikely that they would cause trouble like the sky-devouring clan. Even if they did cause trouble, they were destruction ancestral gods. With the help of other ancestral gods, Long Chen could also kill them. Therefore, this matter sounded feasible. After all, to Long Chen, he had to obtain those 2 world origins no matter what. "I actually agree to this transaction, but there are 3 things I need to clarify with you," Long Chen said solemnly. Now that he had made things clear, he could take precautions. "Speak." "First, as you said earlier, when we arrive at the dragon sacrificial world, we definitely can't destroy its peace. Otherwise, I won't let you off. I treat you as my friends, so you need to treat me as your friends too. That's not a problem. We know that the dragon sacrificial world is very prosperous and has countless lives. We want to enter these worlds to take a look and experience different kinds of life. The primogenitor's world is too boring. They were right on this point. Long Chen felt it too. The higher one's cultivation went, the more boring it would be. On the other hand, at the bottom of the world, one would be caught in the whirlpool. There would be more love and hatred, and perhaps life would have meaning. The second point is very important. Although I'm here, I have no idea how to leave. I'm only saying that if I find a way to leave, I'll definitely bring you away. However, there's no way to be sure. It's very likely that you'll help me, but I might also stay here forever. Perhaps God One had already guessed this, so he wasn't surprised. He said, this is also a kind of gamble. We're betting that you can leave. If you can't, then we're just unlucky. He could accept this point. Long Chen said the last point, which was also the most important. He said, the dragon sacrificial world is currently in the midst of destruction. The sky-devouring race that destroyed the ancestral dragon is sealed, but they can appear at any time. Moreover, there's a demonic god beast that's hard to deal with over there. If you go to the infinite worlds, in order to survive and protect that world, you'll probably have to fight the sky-devouring race. This isn't good for you. The primogenitor's world is more stable. God One smiled and said, we know this even better. To be honest, first of all, we went to the dragon sacrificial world to escape this kind of life. If there's a war that we can participate in and feel that dying in battle is worth it, then we're willing to die like this. It's better than turning into the primogenitor's power here and dying. Although it's been an eternity, it hasn't experienced any changes. Secondly, I remember that the 10th ancestral dragon came to the primogenitor's world and was reborn here. I believe that once they devour the infinite worlds, they'll return here. At that time, we probably won't be able to escape. It's better to go back. The other party could accept all three of Long Chen's questions. From God One's words, Long Chen could clearly feel his kindness. He suddenly understood these primogenitors' lives very well. Comparing Long Chen's life to theirs, although his life was far shorter than theirs, it was countless times more exciting. To them, power wasn't even a concept. Although they were paragons, what use was that? There were paragons all around them. There was no space for them to go up or down. They might as well stay in a low-level sect, with elders and loved ones. Juniors have enemies and lovers. Even if this is lowly, it is still exciting and delightful. In that case, it's decided. They were people worthy of Long Chen's trust. Very well, then I'll let them come. God One was very happy. Chapter 3665. After about a quarter of an hour, a total of 10 huge beasts appeared around Long Chen. Among them, there were 4 ancestral divine mites that looked like God One. As long as they were of the same species, they basically looked the same. There were 2 ancestral kunpangs that looked a little like Ancestor Hun Kuan. They had one less transformation than Ancestor Hun Kuan. Their bodies were a dull gray color, with traces of time. They were the ancestors of the Kuanpeng, and were clearly much stronger than Ancestor Hun Kuan. The strongest ancestor god Hun Kuan was only the ancestor god of the 5th era. There was also the ancestral primal chaos. He looked a little like the sky-devouring tribe, but was not. The ancestral ghostly fox was a dull gray fox with 108 tails. It was very sinister. The ancestral Cheongchi looked like an ox, with the fur of a hedgehog. There were 2 faint golden dragon horns on its forehead, and its mouth was like an eagle's beak. It had a pair of black wings, and it looked very savage. It was an extremely savage beast. The ancestral Taotai was similar to the Taotai beasts that Wu Yu had met before. It was also as savage as the ancestral Cheongchi. Although it looked much smaller than the Taotai beasts here, once it was in the 10,000 worlds, its body expanded, and the Taotai beasts could only be one of its teeth. It was these 10 seemingly savage primogenitor lifeforms that were surrounding Long Chen. The rest are in deep slumber, waiting to die. We cannot find them at all. However, with us here, it is more than enough to help you get 2 ancestral roots. They did not know that Long Chen knew the blood spirit devourer, but they seemed to be certain that Long Chen could snatch them. They were certain that Long Chen could snatch it. In reality, they did not even know what a creator ancestor god was. To them, the ancestral root was something that could be snatched. It should be their primogenitor lifeforms that had the ability to invade the ancestral root. From this, Long Chen thought that he could also be considered a primogenitor lifeform. Could it be possible? After all, he still had the world essences of 3 fourth-era ancestor gods. However, there weren't that many ancestral souls, and they weren't very useful to Long Chen. We all know where the nests of those two groups are. However, they should be roaming around the primogenitor world in search of you. The two groups are going in different directions, so they should be separated. When the time comes, one of us will monitor the movements of the other group, while the other 9 will follow you and fight for the ancestral root. With such an arrangement, there would basically be no loopholes. Long Chen, who do you think should fight for the ancestral phoenix's ancestral root first, or the ancestral Qilin? God One asked after the arrangements were made. Long Chen thought for a moment. Li Xuanji was still by his side. The first person to snatch it would have a higher chance of getting it. If he snatched the second person, the other party would definitely get the news that the first person was snatched. It would be more difficult, so he decided. Snatch first. The ancestral phoenix. The primogenitor phoenix, Phoenix 1, possessed the world essence of the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon. No matter what, it was better to snatch it first. As for Phoenix 1's life, Long Chen couldn't do anything about it. They waited for a period of time, but it was hard to tell how long it had been. Time here was sometimes fast, sometimes slow. There was no way of knowing how much time had passed in the dragon sacrificial realm. Among them, the ancestral ghostly fox was the fastest. She went to monitor the ancestral Qilin. When the ancestral Qilin's group and the ancestral phoenix's group were too far apart to rescue, Long Chen and the other 9 prepared to attack. In a moment, the 7 of them will each restrain one ancestral phoenix. God 1 and God 2 will help me deal with Phoenix 1 quickly. How about that? As long as the 3 of you work together to suppress her, I will be able to deal with her quickly. No problem. 3 against 1. Moreover, Long Chen was slightly stronger than Phoenix 1. However, he wasn't 100% confident. After all, the other party knew the laws of hallucination and transformation. Although the attack power of such mystical laws wasn't very strong, it was still rather difficult to kill her. Because the progenitor phoenixes were chasing after Long Chen, it wasn't too difficult to find them. Soon, Long Chen and the others found the group of progenitor phoenixes. Go! The group of people quickly moved forward. Long Chen hid in God One's huge body and concealed his aura. With the 10 primogenitor life forms covering him, it would not be easy to find him quickly. Hearing their movements, the 8 ancestral phoenixes immediately turned around and saw God One and the others. They were not afraid, and they simply turned around. It's Divine Marshal, Hybrid Rock, and the others. They have the numbers. Should we leave? Phoenix 5th asked. There's no need for that. They might have the numbers, but they won't dare to provoke us. Phoenix 1 said fearlessly. She had the ancestral source now, so fighting 1 or 2 was not a problem. Moreover, there were only 9 of them. The ancestral ghostly fox was not here, so Phoenix 1 was even less afraid of encountering them. Huang 1, what are you and Qi 1 searching for during this period of time? God 1 stepped forward and tried to confuse them with words before he got close. It has nothing to do with you. Scram. Phoenix 1 had a bad temper. When God 1 and the others stepped forward, they were slightly wary and put up a defensive formation. For Long Chen, it was fine as long as they didn't run away. Why are you so excited? I'm guessing that the ancestral heart has appeared. Did you get it? Although God 1 was a primogenitor life form with a monotonous life and little experience, he was still quite smart. If he talked about the ancestral heart, the progenitor phoenixes would not be able to guess their true goal this time. So what if it is? Phoenix One thought. She did not want God One to know that the ancestral source had appeared. If they thought it was the ancestral heart, that would be perfect. That's good. Phoenix One, I'm here to ask you to work together to deal with the Qilin. They were the ones who obtained the ancestral heart the last 2 times. This time, it's our turn. Otherwise, they will be even more arrogant. While they were talking, the 9 beasts had already reached the 8 progenitor phoenixes. At this time, Phoenix One was still thinking about how to reject this alliance. After all, the ancestral source was more important than the ancestral heart. Even if God One wanted to ally with them, it would be useless. The resources would not be easy to distribute. The ancestral source was precious, and although Phoenix One knew that there were 2, she did not want to give either to God Wu. But just as she was thinking about it, the 9 behemoths suddenly sped up. 7 of them locked onto their own targets. Without a word, they suddenly attacked, using a domineering force to lock their opponents in their own world of attack. God One and God Two's target was Phoenix One. What are you doing? Phoenix One did not expect this at all. It was inconceivable. She did not understand the meaning of their attacks at all. But at this time, a familiar figure appeared above God One's body. His left hand was wrapped in time chains, and his right hand was holding a bloody godly sword. In an instant, he rushed over. First come, first served. 500 yuan. In order to repay the support, 500 yuan was given out today. Everyone, follow Feng Qingyang on WeChat. Click on the history, and you will find the password. Regular users can receive the password directly. Everyone quickly copied the number, opened Alipay, and scrolled down to find the red envelope option. The red envelope option might be hidden at the bottom. Among the 3, whoever entered the password fast enough would get a red packet. Also, Alipay needed to be authenticated to receive a red envelope. Chapter 3666. It's you. The progenitor phoenixes found it hard to react at the first moment. They couldn't understand why the progenitor divine might and the others didn't fight for Long Chen's ancestral source. Instead, they followed Long Chen to attack them. Long Chen was just one person. Could it be that stealing his ancestral source was harder than stealing their own? That was impossible. Long Chen was an outsider. He was alone and had a powerful treasure. The progenitor Phoenix race and the progenitor Qilin race were trying their best to find him. Of course, there was no time to think about why at this juncture. There was only slaughter. Accept the challenge. The primogenitor's world was only lively during the fight for the primogenitor's heart. The current situation was clearly more intense than the fight for the primogenitor's heart. It could happen at any moment. However, they weren't easy to deal with. The moment they saw Long Chen, the crystal-like Phoenix One used the looming Shadow Dream Dragon's laws to create a large-scale law. Second World. Among the ancestral dragons, the looming Shadow Dream Dragon was the strangest and most difficult to deal with. Its hallucinatory laws could often make people fall into a hallucinatory world. The name of the Second World's laws was enough to show that it was the pinnacle of hallucinatory laws. It was a hallucinatory world apart from the real world. In an instant, everyone was enveloped in the Second World. The impact of the Second World even drowned out the worlds created by the other progenitor lifeforms. However, Long Chen was also very fast. At this time, he didn't care about exposing the other world origins. The Karma halberd appeared in his left hand, which was wrapped in the chains of time. The halberd slashed down and tore open a Karma Great World. This Karma Great World wasn't big. It only surrounded Long Chen, Phoenix One, God One, and God Two. However, from the inside, it seemed endless. Therefore, Huang Yi's second world was cut off by the Karma Great World. He lost contact with the outside world. The primogenitor's life outside was no longer affected by the second world, but the inside of the Karma Great World was filled with the mist of the second world. That illusory law was above Long Chen's golden mist and black land. 3 ancestral roots. Huang Wen was even more shocked. He did not expect Long Chen to have 3 ancestral roots with him. With each additional ancestral root, Long Chen's value would increase tremendously. God 1, God 2. He has 3 ancestral roots, so let's join hands and snatch them. 2 of the ancestral roots will belong to you, and will only take 1. Now, he was surrounded by 3 people, and they were all in Long Chen's karma world. Huang Wen naturally knew that he was in danger, so he made this decision. This was his bottom line. 2 ancestral roots. God 1 and God 2 hesitated for a moment. However, compared to the outside world, the temptation of ancestral roots was too low. If 2 ancestral roots were enough to tempt them, the 10 primogenitors would have attacked Long Chen a long time ago. Keep it for yourself, God 1 replied indifferently. In reality, he was already restricted by the second world. It wasn't just him. Long Chen was in the same situation. Inside the second world, many memories that didn't exist appeared in his mind. The world around him, the scenery, and the people were constantly changing. This deep environment allowed Long Chen to see many tragic scenes. It was even scarier than when he used the mirror of future. I didn't expect the illusory law to be so powerful. God 1 and God 2 won't be able to help before I destroy the second world. Huang Wen used the second world to break the encirclement. Long Chen, the noise was disturbing Long Chen's mind. However, he felt a cooling sensation in his heart that allowed him to calm down. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that Li Xuanji was probably using her own illusory law and transformation law. He kept reminding himself. It's time to break the law. The fourth world source appeared in Long Chen's hand. The Fate Necklace. The necklace was a ring, and so was the time chain. Eternal Fate Island. This was a fusion law, a fusion of the time and fate laws. The power of time surrounded the power of fate, forming a tiny island. However, when the two powers collided, the shockwaves spread out continuously, changing and surging. Rumble. As it shook, the second world was distorted by the power of time and fate. It crumbled, and in an instant, the second world vanished. God 1 and God 2 walked out of the hallucination. The 3 of them and Phoenix 1 were practically face to face. The fourth one. Long Chen's fate ancestral root made Huang Wen even more jealous. She even imagined that if the ancestral Phoenix tribe could obtain 4 more ancestral roots, at least 5 of them would be able to catch up to the ancestral mystical dragons in the past. However, this was her real crisis. Dark Sky Pillars. The 2 primogenitor divine marshals made their moves immediately. They used the power of their worlds to condense 2 huge black pillars in the Karma Great Realm. The black pillars possessed heaven-defying power that could break the Karma Great Realm. The 2 pillars' target was obviously Huang Wen. You guys are crazy. Huang Yi couldn't understand why they would ignore the sources of the 4 worlds and target him instead. Omniscient manifestation. His crystalline body unleashed a new law in his rage. The omniscient manifestation created an endless net that illuminated everything in a short period of time. Tens of thousands of vivid and lifelike images appeared on the net. Each image turned into a primogenitor life form. Tens of thousands of primogenitor lifeforms were fighting against Long Chen and the primogenitor divine marshals. Boom! A large number of primogenitor lifeforms were fighting against the dark sky pillars. The situation in the Karma Great Realm was incredibly intense. Huang Wen could still hold on against 2 opponents at once, but this time, Long Chen wouldn't give her another chance. In his hand was a new fusion of law. The Ring of Life and the Bloodlust Sword were tightly linked. The power of the 2 worlds intertwined and fused, waiting for Long Chen to use the law to integrate this power and release it. Die. In an instant, the opposing forces of life and death combined together at this moment. Life was death. And death was death. The power of death surged out of the sword and formed a sword aura that pierced through the Karma Great Realm. It exploded into countless sword auras that pierced through the omniscient manifestation. Sword of Nirvana. This law was somewhat similar to the Sword of Nirvana, but its effects were different. It was more effective when it came to killing life. Chapter 3667. Two primogenitors and Long Chen, the strongest of them all, attacked at the same time. Breaking Huang Yi's laws was a piece of cake. In a head-on clash with Long Chen and the others, there was no benefit at all. Sword of Nirvana. Countless rays of green and blood-red sword energy flashed past. The lives Huang Yi had created were destroyed one by one. The primogenitor lives that had been used to resist the dark sky pillars were destroyed in no time at all. Boom! Because of this, the two dark sky pillars slammed into Huang Yi's wings. They pierced right through them and pinned Huang Yi to the black earth of the Karma Great World. Success. God 1 and God 2, with Long Chen's help, could completely suppress Huang Yi. The two black pillars turned into countless spikes that pierced Huang Yi's body. For a short period of time, Huang Yi couldn't resist at all, and he was firmly restrained. Long Chen took advantage of this opportunity. Blood Spirit Devourer. The long sword was like a dot of bloody light. It moved in front of Huang Yi in the Karma Great World. Long Chen saw the ancestral source on her body. It was a necklace similar to the necklace of fate, but it was a pendant. It was a black crystal in the shape of a heart. It looked a bit like the everlasting guardian heart that Long Chen had given Li Xuanji. Crack. Long Chen found the opportunity to pierce through Huang Yi's necklace while the black pillars were suppressing him. Arg. The Blood Spirit Devourer wasn't just a simple killing law. It also contained the power of the Jade Dragon Dao Seal. When it pierced through the world source, the ancestral soul was quickly devoured by the Bloodlust Sword. Huang Yi's life was gone. She had the world source, so this was the only way for Long Chen to take it back. Plus, the infinite worlds didn't have much time to think about it. With the ancestral soul destroyed, Huang Yi's primogenitor phoenix body turned to dust. All that was left was the damaged world source. Finally obtaining the world origin, Long Chen hurriedly stored it in his divine kingdom. Long Chen, there are 6 world origins. This is different from the other world origins. The world origins are complete. Does that mean that when we merge with this world origin, we can directly become the 4th epoch's ancestral god? Li Xuanji could easily move from Long Chen's body to the divine kingdom. She held the necklace in her hand and spoke excitedly. After all, the world source was created by Huang Yi. It was complete. Even though that's the case, the problem is, we don't know where her origin dragon soul has gone. That was the key. He still lacked the origin dragon soul. Only by obtaining the origin dragon soul would he be considered to have obtained it completely. No matter what, obtaining the psychedelic pendant was the first step. Long Chen is now. He urgently needed to gather all of the ancestral dragon's legacies. He wanted to see what would happen after he gathered all of them. Buzz. The Karma Great World opened, and Long Chen and the others came out. The 14 primogenitors were still fighting outside. When Long Chen and the others appeared, both sides knew that Huang Yi was dead. There was no need to continue fighting. Huang Yi. You will pay a heavy price sooner or later. The primogenitors did not want to continue fighting. Now that Huang Yi was dead, they could no longer fight against Long Chen and the others. Therefore, they quickly abandoned their opponents and fled. They had spoken ruthlessly. After all, they were equivalent to 7 4th epoch's ancestral gods. Long Chen could not kill them one by one. Plus, there was no need for him to. After they left, the 9 primogenitors surrounded Long Chen and congratulated him. The ghostly fox ancestor said that the ancestor Qilins have heard the news and are heading here, God 1 said. Heading here? Are they looking to die? Long Chen was confused at first, but when he raised his head, he saw that the primogenitors were also heading towards the ancestor Qilins. It was obvious. I think they want to work together. We forced them. Otherwise, with their past confrontations, it would be impossible for them to work together. Now that Huang Yi is dead, the primogenitors want revenge. They want to take the 5 ancestral roots that Long Chen has. The ancestor Qilans are worried that we will attack Qi 1, and they also want the ancestral roots that Long Chen has. Therefore, it would be strange if they didn't work together. If they work together to kill us, they will benefit greatly. There are 15 of them in total. We should leave this place first. If they work together, their fighting power would far surpass that of Long Chen and the others. Therefore, Long Chen understood that they had to leave first. If they were too late, they would have to give up everything they got today, along with their lives. While they were moving, Long Chen thought about it and said, "From now on, the 15 of them will not split up. We are outnumbered. We have to think of another way." "What way?" "You said that there are still a few primogenitors left here. Can we get their help?" "How many of them are there?" Right now, every primogenitor's life was crucial. Including himself, there were only 11 on Long Chen's side. If 4 or more of the remaining primogenitors were willing to join them, then they would have a chance. There are probably 4 or 5 left. Maybe 4 or 5. We don't even know if one of them is still alive. Do you know where they are? They are always wandering, so it will be hard to find them. This method will waste a lot of time and energy. It will be hard to believe that the primogenitors are not sincere. It will be troublesome if they change sides. However, we have to try. After all, it is the only way. Before, they didn't think that the two sides would work together so quickly. Don't worry, it's still early. Besides, the ancestral phoenix and ancestral Qilan might not be completely united. They each have their own little schemes. If we can make use of them, it might not be a bad idea. Long Chen wasn't worried. Let's rest for a while. When the ancestral ghostly fox returns, we will look for the remaining primogenitors. At the same time, we can think of a way to leave this place. Although it was a rest, Long Chen actually had other things to do. He needed to study the psychedelic pendant and see if there was a way to find the Shadow Dream Dragon's origin dragon soul. After all, the ancestral dragons would usually hide this information in the world origin. Yesterday, he used Alipay to add Feng Qingyang on WeChat and sent 200 red packets. In the end, they were all snatched up in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Everyone was too fierce. Those who didn't get any did not have to worry. In order to celebrate and welcome the release of the new book at the end of the month, the lunatic would organize activities and send red packets every few days. It was something practical to repay everyone's support for the dragon blood. If everyone was enthusiastic and willing to support the original book, the lunatic could keep sending red packets without a problem. An end, a beginning. A new journey would be even more glorious. Sincerity would definitely be rewarded. Chapter 3668. While waiting for the ancestral ghostly fox to return, Long Chen focused most of his attention on the psychedelic pendant. Li Xuanji was also pondering. Long Chen delved into the inner world of the pendant. It was an illusory world filled with colors. Everything was constantly changing, and there was no fixed shape. Sometimes it would change into a city, sometimes it would change into a forest, and sometimes it would change into a river or lake. Sometimes, there were countless people walking, and sometimes, there were thousands of beasts running. Any world was so real. Long Chen and Li Xuanji walked around in this world, trying to find some information. Logically speaking, he had inherited the essence blood of the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon and was considered half the owner of the psychedelic pendant. It was relatively easy for him to find any information inside. Unexpectedly, this inner world seemed to have a lot of information, but there was no useful information. Long Chen and Li Xuanji searched for a long time inside. Basically, they had found all the information, but they still could not find the real location of the origin dragon soul. Maybe there is nothing? Li Xuanji asked. Normally, the Umbra Dream Charm Dragon would have left some clues for me. It must have left some clues for me. I can't find it now. It's possible that the Ancestral Phoenix erased this important information when it became the owner of this psychedelic pendant. After confirming that there was no information, the two of them left. What a pity. If there's news of the origin dragon's soul here, then as long as you obtain it and reach the level of the fourth era's primordial ancestor god, I reckon that no matter how many primordial life forms there are, you'll be able to easily obtain the world source of the ancestor Qilin and find a way to leave this place. There is no other way. At this time, the ancestral ghostly fox had already met up with the group. Then, they gathered together and prepared to search for the other ancestral life forms. They had already wasted a lot of time waiting for Long Chen to investigate the psychedelic pendant and the ancestral ghostly fox. As they advanced, Long Chen suddenly thought of a problem. He said, "We are looking for them. Would the ancestral phoenix and ancestral Qilin be looking for them as well? Their reasons should be more direct." After all, Long Chen now had 5 world origins on him, and the temptation was more obvious. If one stood on Long Chen's side and went to the infinite worlds where life and death were unknown, a normal person would not make such a choice. Speed up. I know where 1 or 2 primogenitor lifeforms usually roam. God 1 took Long Chen and the others with him as they sped up to find the primogenitor life forms. At this time, when God 1 called out to these primogenitors, they were already ignoring him. However, normally speaking, they could not be bothered. The problem was that after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find them. God 1. At this moment, a voice called out to the primogenitor Divine Might. The primogenitor Divine Might recognized the other party. It's primogenitor Wizard. In the primogenitor world, there was only one primogenitor Wizard. Usually, he was the closest to the 10 primogenitor life forms. He was also the one that the primogenitor Divine Might felt was most likely to join them. Primogenitor Wizard, where are you? How can I find you? God 1 asked hurriedly. There's no need to look. We're going to find you, the primogenitor Wizard said indifferently. This gave everyone a bad feeling. God 1 asked, how many of you are there? What do you think? The other party asked. If it's just you or the others, it would be even better, God 1 said. The other party suddenly sighed and said, God 1, this time, we really don't understand what you're thinking. You're actually helping outsiders to deal with our primogenitor life forms. Now, this outsider has 5 ancestral roots. Maybe even more. As expected, the primogenitor Wizard had been roped in by the primogenitor Qilin and primogenitor Phoenix. This was based on the fact that he also coveted the ancestral roots. What I'm thinking is that I want to follow him to the dragon's sacrificial realm and escape from the primogenitor's heart. I want to live forever. There are countless lives in the dragon's sacrificial realm, but our primogenitor world is too boring. We want to experience the meaning of life. As for you guys, so what if you have the ancestral roots? The scope of your life will forever be the primogenitor world. You guys can't be as exciting as the primogenitor divine dragon. Pursuing the ancestral roots is a joke in itself. Even if you have the ancestral roots, you'll only be stronger than a few dozen people. When we reach the dragon's sacrificial realm, we'll be stronger than billions of lives. Wizard, you and the others should think this through. Compared to the meaningless ancestral roots, there are some things that will make us feel like we've existed. We don't have to guard the endless years and live a monotonous life. Long Chen could understand what God 1 and the others were pursuing. If it were Long Chen himself, he wouldn't choose the ancestral roots either. Instead, he would choose to go to the infinite worlds and experience life. Hundreds of millions of years of loneliness couldn't compare to a moment of excitement. Don't be fooled. You know very well that he doesn't have a way to leave the primogenitor world. The current ancestral roots can't let people leave the primogenitor world. I think you should give up. In any case, the few of us have already made our choice, primogenitor Wizard said. In other words, you're all on their side? That's right. You're a step too slow. We've already gathered with Phoenix and Qilin. There's a total of 20. Much more than you guys. God 1, it's not too late for the 10 of you to regret your decision. I don't dare to say it for the others, but you should be able to get a share. Forget it. God 1 told Long Chen and the others the contents of the conversation. A total of 20 of them had gathered together and were already chasing after them. How could this be? After hearing this news, the 10 progenitors panicked. The lives of the 5 progenitors were crucial. Once they joined their team, they would definitely die. Once they joined their team, their hands would basically be equal. But now, they had joined them. This was the most troublesome part. The other side had already outnumbered them by twice. 2 against 1, plus they were fighting for the ancestral roots. They would definitely go all out. If they encountered them under such circumstances, it was very likely that they would all be wiped out. Not everyone in this team was as resolute as God 1. This was also a sign of danger. As a primogenitor, it was difficult not to be interested in the ancestral roots. After all, the only difference in strength in the primogenitor world was whether or not one had an ancestral root. Those with ancestral roots, such as Qilin 1 and Phoenix 1, had high statuses. Furthermore, at their level, the ancestral roots were the only way to become stronger. After being bored for so long, perhaps everyone wanted to make some changes. Chapter 3669. Shin Yi, we can't hold on any longer. One of the primogenitors, Hun Kuan, said. It doesn't seem worth risking our lives for an uncertain future. A few of them harbored ill intentions toward Long Chen. Perhaps they were thinking that they might as well kill Long Chen first instead of waiting for him to catch up and kill Long Chen. Although they wouldn't be able to leave this place, they would at least be able to obtain a lot of ancestral roots. That would be enough to give each of them an ancestral root. Of course, their conversation was carried out behind Long Chen's back. At this moment, everyone was trying to figure out how to deal with the situation as they moved. That won't do. We've already promised him and made a deal with him. How can we go back on our word and go back on our word? Although they have more people, it doesn't mean we have no hope. They don't want to leave the primogenitor world, but I want to. God 1 rejected firmly and decisively. At least the other 3 primogenitors were completely loyal to him. After arguing a few times, the matter was settled. The 10 primogenitors continued to follow Long Chen, but Long Chen could clearly sense that some of them were looking at him differently. Originally, they only needed to get rid of Qi Yi to resolve this matter completely. He hadn't expected that killing Huang Yi would lead to so many problems. Do you have a solution? Li Xuanji asked. No. After all, the primogenitor world's structure was too simple. There were only a few existences with similar strength. Now that the 20 of them were gathered together, they were unshakable. Apart from fighting head-on, there was no other way. In any case, Long Chen didn't believe that they would choose to split up to deal with Long Chen. Then we'll have to trouble you. Li Xuanji was also a little confused. It's fine. We'll cross the bridge when we come to it. There will definitely be a solution. Long Chen was relatively calm. In the vast primogenitor world, the only way to avoid being easily found was by constantly moving. From time to time, Long Chen would scan his surroundings with his Eye of Life Origins. Once someone approached, he would be able to detect them in advance. At a certain moment, as he activated his Eye of Life Origins, he discovered that there really were around 20 life forms chasing after him. The other party had actually caught up so quickly. It was simply unbelievable. It should be considered beyond common sense. Someone must have betrayed them. Go. At this time, Long Chen couldn't care about anything else. He directly turned and left. Sure enough, there were people in this group that came to intercept him. Looking around, besides the 4 ancestral divine marshals, the other 6 had betrayed Long Chen and joined their group in order to seize Long Chen's world source. The other side should have promised them good conditions. You. God One and the others looked at the scene in shock. However, Long Chen had many tricks up his sleeves. It wasn't easy for them to capture Long Chen. In the blink of an eye, Long Chen broke out of their encirclement. The Sea of Tranquility. He used the laws of time to create a sea, causing time to come to a complete standstill. Even if it was only for an instant, Long Chen would be able to smoothly rush out. Moreover, the ancestral divine mites also had time to gather together with Long Chen. Let's go first. At this time, there was no way to criticize them. After all, this was their choice. Long Chen and the 4 ancestral divine marshals gathered together and fled. At this time, the Kuanpeng and the others broke free of the Sea of Tranquility's law and chased after them. Behind them, there were still 20 ancestral divine marshals. Basically, there were 26 ancestral divine marshals chasing Long Chen's 5. This was a 5-to-1 disparity. In a direct confrontation, death was certain. Because of Long Chen's appearance, the primogenitor world had undergone such a change. All the ancestral divine marshals were alarmed and joined in the chase. Long Chen, God One, it's useless for you to run. The primogenitor world is only so big. They can escape for a lifetime, but they can't escape forever. Especially God One. Give up. You only have 4 people left. If you don't give up and we catch you, you won't even be able to keep your lives. All these years, we've had a good relationship with your ancestral divine marshals. Don't force us to personally kill you. The 6 pursuing ancestral divine marshals were constantly threatening Long Chen and the others. Fortunately, God One and the others didn't waver because of their massive disadvantage. They still firmly followed Long Chen. Everyone, since things have come to this, we might as well enter my divine kingdom. I'm the fastest, and there's no point in fighting them head-on. Let's escape their pursuit first. Long Chen made this decision. Since God One was still willing to follow him in this situation, Long Chen would remember this sentiment in his heart. He trusted in God One and the others' character. In the future, they would be friends. All right. During this chase, the 4 primogenitors entered Long Chen's divine kingdom. After this was done, Long Chen returned to being alone. Then, he unleashed his high speed and charged forward. In terms of speed, it was much faster than if everyone had fled together. However, none of the primogenitors were to be trifled with. Right now, the 26 of them were closely following Long Chen. At their level, the difference in speed wasn't too great. Although it was difficult to catch up to Long Chen, they wouldn't lose him. As long as Long Chen turned around, he could see the 2 groups of people chasing him relentlessly. Long Chen, don't waste your efforts. Their attitudes were cold. In this prolonged pursuit, time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, it seemed like 10 days had passed. Although the distance between them had increased, he still couldn't shake them off. If this continues, I'll tire one day. When that time comes, as long as they catch up, the 26 of them will rush at me and kill me in an instant. This can't go on. Long Chen could only think of other ways. However, the problem was that the primogenitor's world was empty. There were only primogenitors. There was no other way, and it was impossible for others to help him. Sorry, we weren't able to help you. God One and the others were helpless. This isn't your fault. Think again. Is there any other place in the primogenitor's world where we can take refuge? Long Chen could only place his thoughts on this. Refuge? If there was, we would have sent you there long ago. The primogenitor divine mites were also vexed. Chapter 3670. Why didn't you say so earlier? The fact that Shinsan had suddenly thought of this was great news for Long Chen. Perhaps it was possible. This was the only turning point. From Shinsan's words, it should be a place that the primogenitors could not enter. Long Chen might not be able to enter either, but it was still a chance. It was much better than being chased in the primogenitor world. That place has been abandoned for a long time. If we didn't see you, we would have forgotten about it. Tell me the direction, I'll go there. Okay. During the chase, Long Chen hurriedly changed direction and headed for the lair of the primogenitor divine dragons. This might be the most important place in the entire primogenitor world for me. Long Chen was very confident. He had come to the Ancestral Dragon Cave to explore this place. The primogenitor world was empty. It was possible that the secret of the primogenitor world was in the world left behind by the primogenitor divine dragons. With a target, he would use all his skills. Still in vain? The primogenitor world is only so big. How long do you plan to run? We have an endless amount of time. We can continue wasting time with you. Behind him, there was a huge group of people chasing after Long Chen. They spread out and surrounded him. With their abilities, as long as they could restrain Long Chen, they would be able to charge at him together. At that time, Long Chen would be dead. Killing Long Chen would only take an instant. Not to mention 5 origins of worlds, even a few dozen of them wouldn't be able to withstand the onslaught of so many enemies. That was close. Just looking back made one's scalp go numb. There were simply too many people on the other side. When spread out, they were everywhere. Every one of them wanted to cut Long Chen into 1,000 pieces. How much further? Hang in there, there's still a long time. Damn. This was already a desperate battle of patience. At the same time, they had to be careful of the laws that attacked from time to time. They had many ways to save the lives of the 26 primogenitors. It was not as simple as just chasing. The brutal chase continued in the primogenitor world for many days. Long Chen faced great danger several times. Fortunately, he was alone and could still be considered nimble. On the other hand, the other party would fall behind from time to time. In the end, there weren't many who were still hanging behind him. There were about 15. There were still more than 10 scattered in the primogenitor world. However, they could still catch up. The one closest to Long Chen was Qi, one of the primogenitor Qilins. Of all the primogenitor lifeforms, only he had an ancestral essence. This was actually a bait. If I can't hold back any longer, I'll turn around and try to get all of the ancestral mana. The other primogenitors will be able to suppress me, and as long as one of them locks onto me, the others will be able to kill me. This was quite depressing for Long Chen. The world source of the Chaos Calamity Dragon was right in front of him, but he couldn't touch it. Fortunately, for Long Chen, the most crucial moment had arrived. After a long period of pursuit, he finally saw a speck of light in the depths of the primogenitor's world. The origin of the Chaos Calamity Dragon was right in front of him, but he could not touch it. Shen 3 said excitedly. All right. Now that he found the place, things would be easy. Next, he had to see if he could enter this place that all the primogenitors could not enter. Looking from afar, the nest was getting closer and closer. He actually fled here. This is the nest of the primogenitor dragon. We can't seem to enter, but he might. We definitely cannot let him in. The 26 primogenitors were extremely anxious. However, Long Chen still held back some. At this time, he left restrictions and power in front of him as he sped forward. The primogenitors behind him were blocked by many layers and could not go any faster. The nest in front of him was already very clear. What made Long Chen a little surprised was that it was actually a dark gray beehive. It was far from being as big as the universe beehive of the myriad worlds, but the degree of mystery and primitive it far surpassed the universe beehive. This was probably as old as the entire primogenitor world. The first primogenitor dragon was probably the first to be born among the primogenitors. However, outside the dark gray beehive, one could vaguely feel a layer of nothingness and invisible barrier. It seemed like a simple barrier that did not even exist, but it was actually quite a headache for all the primogenitors. This was because they had tried countless times, but they could not penetrate the barrier and reach the inside of the nest. They were very willing to occupy the nest left behind by the primogenitor dragon. When the primogenitor dragon had dominated this place, this was their forbidden area. We primogenitors are always at odds with each other. That's why we set up many defenses around our lairs. This is especially true for the primogenitor divine dragon. It was built by Long E. Ever since it was built, we've never passed through it. While God One and the others were talking, Long Chen had already arrived in front of the nest. He could clearly feel the existence of the barrier and the attraction of the beehive cavern below. As long as I pass through, I won't have to worry about my life. Long Chen thought to himself. Long Chen, before you give it a try, it's best if you don't charge in. The barrier is attacking the ancestor's soul. If you charge in at this speed, the ancestor's soul might collapse, Shen Yi reminded him. There's no time. If he stopped to try, the other party would be able to imprison him during this period of time. Then I can only risk my life and try, God One said solemnly. After all, Long Chen was right. Not yet. There was no time now. This fellow is really not afraid of death. Let's watch. He will smash his own ancestral soul and leave the ancestral root for us. Qi Wan and the others said with certainty. Right at this moment, Long Chen disregarded everything and directly slammed against the barrier of nothingness. Buzz. It was daunting but not dangerous. Perhaps it was because of his bloodline. It worked. As the primogenitor divine dragon, Long Chen easily entered the barrier. Ripples appeared on the barrier, just like the surface of water. Long Chen was actually very confident. This was a place that only the primogenitor dragons could enter and exit. Since he was the primogenitor dragon, he could naturally enter. Long Chen stopped in his tracks. When he turned around, the 26 primogenitors had indeed arrived. They were all dumbfounded as they looked at Long Chen, who was in his lair. For a moment, they could only stare blankly. Every one of them had tried to pass through the barrier, but no one had ever entered. Chapter 3671. Safe. In God Nation, the 4 primogenitors heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, there was a barrier between Long Chen and them. Although it was hard for Long Chen to obtain Qi Yi's world source, at least for the time being, his life wasn't in danger. Both sides glanced at each other. Honestly speaking, letting Long Chen enter this place was like letting the meat in their hands escape. They could only watch anxiously. Long Chen, don't think that you can do anything by hiding here. Let me tell you, we have plenty of time. So what if we wait here until the end of time? We have countless years to accompany you. Qi Yi was still rather calm. Long Chen smiled and said, then let's wait. I have countless years too. But it seems that without the primogenitor's heart, your primogenitors will die. I want to see if you can last longer or if I can. You guys still have to compete for the primogenitor's heart. I don't believe that you guys can really be united. Don't forget, I only have 5 ancestral roots. How can it be enough for all of you? Long Chen went straight to the point and raised 2 of their problems. In reality, he was very anxious. He didn't have much time to be in a deadlock with them. He had to obtain Qi Yi's world source as soon as possible. More importantly, he had to find a way to leave this primogenitor's world. After all, the myriad worlds still needed Long Chen. If the demon god beasts discovered that Long Chen wasn't around, it would definitely cause huge trouble. Then we'll wait. Also, we've never gathered 26 primogenitors together. We don't believe that all of us together can't compare to Dragon One's barrier. Dragon One left early in the morning, and we won't be able to hold out for long. At this point, they seem to have made an agreement. All the primogenitors prepared to attack together. In an instant, the earth-shattering laws bombarded the barrier, causing it to shake. Long Chen was actually worried that they would break it. They might have the power to do so. However, looking closely, it seemed like there was really no problem with the barrier. No matter how they attacked, they couldn't break it. At least, it could maintain stability for a short period of time. This period of time is enough for me to explore the nest left behind by the ancestral dragons. Therefore, even though the barrier was shaking, Long Chen's expression did not change. He focused his attention on the huge beehive below. There were countless caves on the gray beehive. Standing above, Long Chen could see 9 of the caves at first glance. The 9 caves were very large, almost taking up half of the entire beehive. One of the largest caves was located in the center of the beehive, and the other 8 were arranged in the position of the 8 trigrams. Between the 9, there were countless small caves. The 9 caves were the most eye-catching. These 9 caves should be the nests of the 9-headed ancestral dragons. The other smaller caves should be empty. Therefore, Long Chen focused his attention on the 9 giant caves. Among them, the largest cave in the center attracted Long Chen's attention. He thought, this should be the lair of the first ancestral dragon. This was the place that Long Chen wanted to enter the most. He reached the top of the central cave in an instant. Just as he was about to enter, his expression suddenly changed, and he stopped in his tracks. Because, he realized that there was a barrier at the entrance of the cave, and this barrier was thicker than the one outside. It looked calm, but in reality, there were endless changes and storms inside. The barrier was black, so it was difficult for Long Chen to see what was inside. I can't enter this place. This was Long Chen's intuition, because he felt that the barrier was hostile towards him. If he tried to force his way in, he would definitely be attacked by an extremely strong force, and it was very likely that he would be destroyed. After all, it seemed like the first ancestral dragon valued this place a lot, and that was why he had set up such a terrifying barrier. How can this be? The central cave was like this, so Long Chen went to look at the other 8 giant caves. He realized that these 8 giant caves were like the central cave, completely sealed by the ancestral dragons, and it seemed like even Long Chen could not enter. This is troublesome, he could not enter the 9 most important caves. Of course, it was not absolutely impossible, and he definitely had to try. But now, Long Chen was hesitant about whether or not to attack. At this time, there was a resistance in his heart, reminding him not to break the barrier. Looking up, he saw 26 ancestral life forms attacking wildly. Once the outermost barrier was broken, he would be surrounded inside, and he would really die without a burial. Everything he left behind would be divided up by the ancestral life forms. What should I choose? If he did not break the barrier and enter deeper, he would probably die. But a serious intuition was preventing him from doing so. Right, there are also these small caves. Long Chen had neglected these small caves. Although small, they were still more than a few hundred meters in diameter. In this ancestral world, even the ancestral life forms were only 100 meters in size. A diameter of a few hundred meters was quite large, and in the infinite worlds, it would exceed the size of an origin-grade world. There were thousands of these small caves that were a few hundred meters in diameter. Some were big, some were small, and some were even 1,000 meters in diameter. It was just that it couldn't be compared to the 9 largest ones. The 9 largest ones were at least 10,000 meters tall. The largest cave in the center was more than 100,000 meters in diameter. Long Chen approached one of the caves that was about 1,000 meters in diameter, and he found that there was a barrier at the entrance of the cave, but the difference was that this barrier was the same type as the barrier outside the ancestral mystical dragon's lair. Long Chen could pass through the outside, and of course, he could pass through the inside. There was no intention of stopping him here. This way, if they break the outside, I still have a barrier to protect me. But if they break 2 of the barriers inside, it will be even more difficult for me to escape. After all, he was in a cave. But this was not easy. I better go in and take a look first. Without saying a word, Long Chen directly passed through another layer of barrier and entered the deep and serene cave abode. As soon as he entered, he sensed a smell that made him extremely repulsed. The smell of blood. He did not dislike blood, but the smell was really unpleasant. Inside. Long Chen went tens of thousands of meters in, and suddenly, the depths of the cave shook. Then, almost instantly, Long Chen saw millions of eyes open at the same time. The ripples in front of him turned into a scarlet sea. Long Chen remembered a place. Massacre Dragon City, Massacre Dragon Graveyard, Bloody Hell. Chapter 3672. Sky Swallowing Clan. In the Eternal Life God domain, Long Chen already knew that the Heaven Blood Hell was the Sky Swallowing Clan. Its real name was Blood Hell Beast. To Long Chen, this was extremely shocking. After all, this was the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon. The ancestral beings outside could not even enter. Why would the Sky Swallowing Clan and Blood Hell Beast be here? Many thoughts flashed through Long Chen's mind. He was still in a state of deep shock. His mind was completely blank for a period of time. Because the most impossible thing had appeared here. Why is there a Sky Swallowing Clan here? They seem to be weaker and in deep slumber. Your arrival woke them up. Li Xuanji calmed down from her shock. As Long Chen froze and stared at the countless eyes below, the owners of those eyes woke up and stared at Long Chen. The feeling of being stared at by countless eyes naturally made one's scalp go numb. Why are they here? Did the Sky Swallowing Clan control this place and attack it? That's not possible, they are so weak. From what I know, other than the giant demon god beast, the rest of the Sky Swallowing Clan should be sealed. When Long Chen thought of this, he had a fairly clear judgment in his heart. This made him surprised and excited. It's very likely that the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon is the place where the first ancestor dragon sealed the Sky Swallowing Clan. No wonder the infinite worlds could not find this place. It's in the ancestor's world. So it's like this. Long Chen also thought of another point. There were 9 giant caves outside, and the seals on the 9 caves were many times stronger than the others. From the looks of it, the place where the 9 great ancestral dragons once resided should be the place where the Sky Swallowing Clan's holy lords were imprisoned. There were countless small caves around. Apart from Holy Lord, all the other Sky Swallowing Clan members were imprisoned. For example, Blood Hell Beast was in the cave that Long Chen came from. This explains why I can't enter the 9 caves. The reason is that the 9 caves are used to seal the Sky Devouring Clan saint. If I could enter easily, wouldn't I have broken the first ancestral dragon seal? Long Chen thought it through. That's right. The first ancestral dragon had sealed all the members of the Sky Swallowing Clan here, apart from the remnants of the giant fiend god beasts. Long Chen, or rather the entire universe, had a blood feud with the Sky Swallowing Clan. The enmity of the extermination of the clan, the enmity of the world. The people in front of him were participants from back then. Now, Long Chen was face to face with them, facing countless scarlet eyes. It was only a momentary pause. The Sky Swallowing Clan had been imprisoned for 100 million years. 100 million years later, they suddenly saw the existence of life, and a mystical dragon at that. Naturally, they would go crazy. Wang. Without further ado, all the blood prison beasts charged forward and swarmed toward Long Chen. In the primogenitor's world, the blood hell beasts were not huge. Some were only a few meters in diameter. Of course, there were countless eyes on them. Facing the enemies that he had chased for so many years, until today, he finally met the Sky Swallowing Clan. Long Chen's heart turned colder. Beside him, the 5 world origins danced and circled him. The necklace of fate was around his neck, the ring of life was on his finger, the chain of time was wrapped around his body, the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand, and the karma halberd in his right. He actually has 5 ancestral origins. In the God Nation, the ancestral divine warriors were even more shocked. However, they guessed that this should be Long Chen's limit. After all, there were only 10 ancestral origins in the past. In Long Chen's heart, there was only one word: kill. Kill them all. The blood feud was as deep as the sea, the hatred of the extermination of his clan. Only by staining this place with blood could the hatred in Long Chen's heart be appeased. However, this was not all. If all the people here were from the sky-swallowing clan, although Long Chen could not enter the 9 largest caverns, he could kill all the other caverns. Moreover, when they were sealed, the sky-swallowing clan was at their weakest. Even if they managed to escape, they would need some time to recover. Kill. Long Chen controlled the 5 world origins and charged into the group of blood hell beasts. A small portion of these blood hell beasts only had the ability of a deity. Of course, they were no match for Long Chen. Some of them were equivalent to an ancestral god, but that was only the 9th era. Even the 8th era's ancestral god was no match for Long Chen. In fact, even though he could have killed most of them in one move, Long Chen didn't do so. He closed in and charged at the blood prison beasts, using his sword, halberd, and other weapons to tear these blood prison beasts to pieces. The scariest ones in the sky-swallowing clan are the Holy Masters. I'm afraid that the first ancestral dragon did not have the time to kill such a large number of them. Today, I will take revenge on behalf of the mystical dragon clan. Blood hell beasts, kill as many as you come. As Long Chen charged forward, a sea of blood flew. Countless sky-swallowing clan blood hell beasts let out ear-piercing screams as they were torn apart by Long Chen. Not even a speck of dust was left behind. The ear-piercing screams caused a huge commotion in the depths of the caverns. However, the outside of the caverns was still calm. This showed the power of the ancestral mystical dragon lair. It meant that a large part of the first ancestral dragon's seal required the lair to complete. Rip. Countless pieces of flesh exploded around Long Chen. A large number of deaths. However, the blood hell beasts were not afraid of death. Hundreds of blood hell beasts died one after another under Long Chen's violent slaughter. Not long after, only about 100 were left and they fled. Even as they were fleeing, their countless eyes were still lifeless and lifeless. Who? At this moment, a huge commotion occurred in the deepest part of the cave. Long Chen chased after them and coincidentally saw a huge blood figure appear in the depths of the cave. It was covered with scarlet eyes, and within those eyes, there were countless blood veins writhing like demonic snakes. This blood hellbeast was more than 100 meters in diameter. To have such a huge body in the primogenitor's world, the only possibility was that he was very strong. Most of the blood hell beasts here were far weaker than him. Obviously, this was the king of the blood hell beasts. This was normal. With so many blood hell beasts, there was bound to be a progenitor. Buzz. Chapter 3673. Only Long Chen and the Blood Hell King were left in the huge cavern. Who are you? How can you come in here? The Blood Hell monarch trembled with anger as he watched all his descendants being killed. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared coldly at Long Chen. It was as if there was an endless sea of blood surging on his body. Who are you? As he didn't know the situation of the sky-swallowing clan, Long Chen didn't want to reveal his identity. However, his world's origin was still very obvious. At this moment, the Blood Hell King saw his world's origin. As expected, you are the inheritor of the 9 ancestral dragon. It must have been hard for you to reach such a realm and come here. Looks like the Holy Lord of the Divine Demon Realm didn't kill you. However, since you escaped here and met me, I won't go easy on you. The Blood Hell King was like a huge blood-colored meatball as he rolled towards Long Chen. Layers of murderous intent swept towards Long Chen. I didn't expect you to know my identity. However, I think it's possible that you were waiting to escape but met me here. No one can save you here. Not even the holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan. How many of your holy lords can move now? If I find this place, all of you from the sky-swallowing clan will die. Long Chen knew that he didn't know how strong the holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan were. After all, the chaotic sky-swallowing dragon was one of them. Therefore, to a certain extent, he said those words to test the waters. There are 9 caverns outside. Does this mean that the sky-swallowing clan has 9 more holy lords? Including the giant divine demon beast, there will be 10 holy lords in total? If all of them were as strong as the gigantic demon god beasts, then there would be no hope for the myriad worlds in the future. You're too arrogant. Although you're making good progress, you're nothing compared to the holy lords. If it wasn't for the fact that the holy lord of the divine demon realm hasn't fully recovered, you wouldn't be alive today. Fine, I'll finish you off. The Blood Hell King's defense was rather tight. Looking at the current situation, it wouldn't be easy to find out how strong the opposing holy masters were. Long Chen had explored the other Blood Hell beasts. Most of the weaker ones were born after the end of the Epic War, so they didn't know much about the Sacred Lords. Blood Hell King knew about it, but it was useless as he wouldn't tell Long Chen. Buzz. After exchanging a few words, both sides instantly attacked. Blood Hell King was the first to react. In an instant, all the eyes on his body changed. In the blink of an eye, they turned into a blood-red vortex. Countless blood vessels extended out like tentacles. Hundreds of millions of blood-red blood vessels shot out like sharp spikes from their tips. For a moment, the entire cavern was flooded by the blood-red veins. Of course, Long Chen was also swallowed by these veins. The Blood Hell King's body exploded like a balloon and then condensed again. In the blink of an eye, countless blood vessels contracted and locked Long Chen inside his body. He used this method to swallow Long Chen. Although I can't destroy your world origin, I can swallow your flesh and blood and seal you in your body. This will make you wither away forever. This time, I've made a great contribution. In the empty cavern, the Blood Hell King was extremely happy. Although the descendants he had painstakingly produced were gone, it was still a big deal to deal with the remnant of the 10,000 worlds. After all, even the divine demon beasts hadn't completed this task yet. Who? In the Blood Hell King's inner world, countless blood vessels pierced into Long Chen's flesh like spikes. In an instant, his body was connected to countless pipes. I'm going to let you wither to death. The Blood Hell King began to devour. All of his abilities were in devouring, of course it was extraordinary. All of his flesh and blood was a kind of power, forcefully squeezing onto Long Chen's body. However, he had underestimated Long Chen. He had also underestimated Long Chen's anger and hatred towards the Sky-Swallowing clan. As the Blood Hell King was devouring the essence of his flesh and blood, Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword with both hands and cut the surrounding blood vessels. He raised the long sword and exploded. Sky Blood River. One sword to the heavens, 10,000 feet of blood river. Rip. The blood-red sword aura rushed into the sky. The domineering slaughtering sword gave birth to endless bloodlight that lit up the entire cavern. At this moment, the Blood Hell King was almost cut in half by Long Chen. The two halves of his body were still stuck together, and then at a terrifying speed, they started to stick together and heal. In a short period of time, they actually fused together. The Blood Hell Beast had a terrifying healing ability. However, Long Chen was even more powerful. When the other party was healing, he had already attacked. Blood Spirit Devouring Soul. Every time he used the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul, the Jade Dragon Seal would have some power enter Long Chen's slaughtering blood sword, and then mix with the slaughtering blood energy, releasing the most terrifying slaughtering force. The Sky-Swallowing clan also had a soul, and it was more compatible with the body, like one with the soul, fusing with the flesh and blood. However, Long Chen could even use the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul to directly strip it out. Whoosh! The Sky Blood River only opened up a space. The real killer move was the Blood Spirit Devouring Soul. The Blood Spirit Devouring Soul was released, and in an instant, endless slaughtering Blood Hell King's body was engulfed by the slaughtering blood sword. In the blink of an eye, the soul that was fused with the flesh and blood rapidly withered under Long Chen's attack, and was devoured by the slaughtering blood sword. In the end, it should have reached the most mysterious Jade Dragon Seal. On the other side. Woo woo, the Blood Hell King let out a final scream. When the soul withered and died, the body that was left behind, under Long Chen's rule, turned into powder and disappeared from the world. Disgusting. This thing. Li Xuanji experienced this battle, and her face was pale. The flesh and blood kept wriggling, and the blood vessels kept swaying, shuttling back and forth. It was indeed disgusting. However, he had killed the sky-swallowing clan after all, and they were one of the evildoers from before the epoch. The blood hellbeast ancestor was still in a good mood, but Long Chen knew that this was not the end. What should we do next? Li Xuanji asked. Kill endlessly. Other than the sky-swallowing clan's holy masters, kill as many as you can. We must kill them all. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword and rushed out of the cave, looking for his next target. After writing the new book and writing the dragon blood, it was already dark after 2 chapters. The 2 chapters that were lacking would be pushed back by 1 to 2 days, but it would definitely be updated. Also, everyone take note, the next round of 500 red packets is coming soon. Everyone, hurry up and follow Feng Qingyang's WeChat, open WeChat and search for him. Next time, I will send it at a fixed time, and there will be people fighting for it. Chapter 3674. After killing the king of Blood Prison, Long Chen's eyes were filled with endless murderous intent. The only thing he could do to the sky-swallowing clan was to kill them all. Only in this way could he avenge the millions of innocent lives that had died in vain. Just one king of Blood Prison isn't enough. God one, thank you for bringing me here, allowing me to slaughter these sky-swallowing clan bastards. Long Chen thanked the ancestral divine mites in the God Kingdom. If the ancestral divine mites hadn't pointed him to this beehive, he didn't know how long it would have taken him to find this place. There might even have been other changes that would have led to other serious consequences. Now, he would kill as many sky-swallowing clan as he could. Since Long Chen had discovered where the sky-swallowing clan was sealed, he couldn't let them continue to exist. Helping you is the same as helping ourselves. The ancestral divine mites could naturally see that there was a deep blood feud between Long Chen and the creatures that were sealed here. But to the ancestral divine mites, they were most concerned about their own future. I just hope that while you're avenging us, you won't forget to think of a way to bring us out of this world. We've been alone in this world for far too long. We want a more exciting life. Shen Yi sighed. Long Chen had his own thoughts on this. Long Chen thought for a moment and said, "Don't worry. Since I promised you, I will do my best. But you should know what the sky-swallowing clan's existence means to this world. Now that they're sealed here, I have no reason to let them go." The ancestral divine mites had some understanding of the sky-swallowing clan because the return of the 2 ancestral roots told them many things that happened in the infinite worlds. Plus, all of their ancestral lives had faced the fate of being devoured by the chaos sky-swallowing dragon. Though the ancestral lives had always been in the ancestral world and hadn't encountered anything too complicated, they weren't stupid. In fact, they were very smart. Shen Yi heard Long Chen's words and immediately said, "The sky-swallowing clan must be eradicated. If necessary, we will help you fight against them." "Thank you, everyone," Long Chen said gratefully. Soon, Long Chen left the 1,000-meter-wide Blood Sea Cave and arrived outside the huge beehive. The aura outside made him feel much more relaxed. The smell of blood in the cave where the King of Blood Prison was sealed was truly nauseating. Long Chen immediately saw that outside the barrier of the huge hive, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms were still working together to break the barrier. To these first ancestors, the 5 ancestral roots in Long Chen's possession were truly too tempting. No matter how long it took, they were determined to obtain the ancestral roots in Long Chen's possession. In any case, now that Long Chen was trapped near the giant beehive, there was no way he could escape. They had all the time in the world to attack and destroy this barrier. Without the primogenitor's heart, these primogenitors' lives would gradually die. However, they believed that they would definitely be able to break this barrier before they died. After all, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms working together was something that had never happened before. The power that they could unleash shocked even themselves. When they saw Long Chen come out of the cave, the 7 ancestral phoenixes among the primogenitor lifeforms spat out flames of anger. The leader of their phoenix progenitor, Phoenix 1, had died at Long Chen's hands. They had to take revenge. Long Chen, I want to see how long you can hide in there. One of the ancestral phoenixes let out a sharp cry. Streams of power of laws were unleashed, bombarding the barrier, causing layers of ripples to appear on it. Don't worry, he can't escape. Chi-E said calmly as he continued to attack the barrier with everyone else. Under the bombardment of the 26 primogenitor lifeforms, the barrier continued to ripple and spread in all directions. It seemed like the entire barrier was rather sturdy. Although it had loosened a little, it was still a long way from being blasted apart. This wasn't good news for Long Chen. The barrier began to loosen under their bombardment. Although it was only a slight loosening, it wasn't a good sign. This meant that they would break the barrier sooner or later. Of course, the barrier seemed to be very stable. It wouldn't be broken in a short period of time. Long Chen didn't take the ancestral phoenix's arrogance to heart. Both sides were in a situation where they wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. There was no point in saying such nonsense. At that moment, Long Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. What he wanted to do the most was to enter the other caves and kill more members of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Shen-Yi. You won't have any future by following this kid. Why don't you help us now and cooperate with us to take him down? When that happens, your ancestral divine technique will also be given an ancestral source. Among the 26 primogenitor lifeforms, the ancestral ghostly fox's eyes flickered slyly as it spoke. Hee, what right does a person who goes back on his word have to spout nonsense? Shen-Yi spoke with disdain. The ancestral ghostly fox was originally his ally, but it had now betrayed them and stood on the other side. Shen-Yi looked down on such a fellow from the bottom of his heart. Although he could understand what the other party was thinking, if the ancestral ghostly fox could betray them, how could its words be trusted? Getting an ancestral source was easy to say. If it really succeeded, the ancestral divine technique would be the first to be excluded. Ancestral divine technique, you will all regret it. Ancestor Baze said nonchalantly as he attacked the barrier. He could be considered to be the same as Chi-E, his emotions were relatively calm. It was as though nothing would cause his emotions to fluctuate. Only when he saw Long Chen would his eyes flicker with obvious greed. Ancestor Baze was determined to get the ancestral source. Long Chen did not participate in the quarrel between the primogenitor lifeforms. Instead, he chose another cave on the huge beehive as fast as he could and quickly approached it. This cave was about the same size as the cave that sealed the King of Blood prison. It was also about 1,000 meters in diameter. If it was in the infinite worlds, it would be equivalent to an engine-level world. Who knew what kind of sky-swallowing clan was sealed in this cave? Long Chen's eyes flashed with murderous intent. The slaughtering blood sword in his left hand was already emitting a bloodthirsty light. He could not wait to be stained with the blood of the sky-swallowing clan. When Long Chen passed through the barrier at the entrance of the cave and stepped into the cave, the clamor from the primogenitor lifeforms outside instantly disappeared. At the same time, a sticky feeling instantly surrounded Long Chen. What he saw was that the cave was filled with black ball-like lifeforms. Countless sticky tentacles extended from the black ball-like lifeforms. When he saw these lifeforms, Long Chen's eyes almost popped out of their sockets as he recalled the deep-seated hatred he once had. Black Llama Beast. Long Chen's murderous intent instantly skyrocketed. Chapter 3675. Seeing the black llama beasts in the cavern, Long Chen's deep-seated hatred surfaced. Back when he was just a god's soul, his father's corpse had been taken over by a black llama beast. Although it was destroyed in the end, this scene was forever imprinted in Long Chen's mind. These ugly black llama beasts had countless tentacles dancing on their black meatballs. When Long Chen stepped in, they charged at him. The entire cavern was filled with an even more viscous aura. Disgusting. Li Xuanji could not help but say. The girl was instinctively resistant to these meatball-like tentacles. This fueled Long Chen's murderous intent. He held the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand and the karma halberd in his right. Endless terrifying nomological laws were unleashed. These ordinary black Yama beasts were basically equivalent to ordinary gods. The stronger ones were only equivalent to the 9th or 8th era ancestral gods. In front of Long Chen, they could not even withstand one breath. They were sliced into pieces by the slaughtering blood sword. The black meatballs were sliced into pieces. The entire cavern was filled with the smell of blood. Before long, hundreds of black Yama beasts had died under Long Chen's sword. These black Yama beasts finally knew what fear was. They kept retreating, but how could they escape from Long Chen's pursuit? Kill. 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 Long Chen was wary of other powerful members of the sky-devouring clan that might appear. At the same time, he used the massacre rules. Blood appeared and dyed the entire cave red. Roar. Just as Long Chen was about to slaughter the hundreds of black Yama beasts, an angry roar came from the depths of the cavern. Caught off guard, countless even larger sticky tentacles appeared around Long Chen and wrapped around him. Long Chen reacted immediately. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. The slaughtering blood sword danced in his hand and sliced all the huge sticky tentacles that got close to him. At the same time, the berserk laws of slaughter swept through the battlefield, pulverizing the remaining black Yama beasts. Long Chen raised his head and saw an existence larger than the other black Yama beasts rolling out from the depths of the cave. This black Yama beast was actually parasitizing a divine dragon. The upper half of the black meatball was actually a divine dragon. Dark Hades Beast King. Long Chen quietly watched the other party appear. He could easily guess the other party's identity. The strength of this black Yama Beast King was not much different from that of the King of Blood Prison. They were both at the level of the 4th era's primordial ancestor god. In Long Chen's eyes, the desire to kill grew, especially when he saw that this black Yama Beast King had actually parasitized a divine dragon. Who dares to kill my son? The black Yama Beast King roared angrily. When he saw Long Chen's appearance, a look of surprise appeared in the eyes of the huge divine dragon's head. Ha ha ha, you are the inheritor of the 9-headed ancestral dragon. I did not expect you to be able to find this place and grow to this stage. However, for you to barge into my lair so recklessly, you're dead for sure this time. The black Yama Beast King was not the least bit afraid. His deep voice echoed throughout the cave. He was very surprised. Although his children had all been killed by Long Chen, he had also obtained the opportunity to kill the inheritor of the ancestral dragon. Once he succeeded in killing this kid in front of him, he would have made a huge contribution. Are you so sure that you can kill me? Long Chen laughed. His laughter was filled with a suppressed murderous intent. Before he killed the black Yama Beast King, he wanted to get as much information from the other party as possible. This was because Long Chen was very clear that the greatest threat to him was not the black Yama Beast King, but the sealed sky-swallowing clan holy leaders. Now, Long Chen knew almost nothing about the sky-swallowing clan holy leaders. Therefore, he needed to get as much information as possible in order to gain the greatest advantage in the final battle. Black Yama Beast King, do you know that not long ago, the King of Blood Prison died in my hands? Now that all the sky-swallowing clan holy leaders are sealed, no one can stop me from killing them. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword in his hand. His murderous intense sword, and even his eyes turned blood red. He only took one step forward, and the entire cave was filled with the power of the slaughtering laws. This terrifying power made the Black Yama Beast King feel the aura of death. However, the Black Yama Beast King was extremely calm. All the tentacles on his body shot out, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Long Chen. A seemingly endless devouring power was emitted from those tentacles, and the slaughtering laws in the cave were gradually swallowed up. Why would I need the holy leaders to deal with you? Just me, the Black Llama Beast King, is enough. The Black Llama Beast King roared, and countless tentacles wrapped around Long Chen's body. Suddenly, a slender tentacle appeared and wrapped around the slaughtering blood sword. Endless devouring power was unleashed. This Black Llama Beast King was actually thinking of swallowing Long Chen's slaughtering blood sword. Too naive, time origin. Long Chen was calm. The time chains wrapped around his body made cracking sounds, and the boundless time laws were released mercilessly. At this moment, Long Chen seemed to have transformed into a void dragon, and he moved leisurely in the river of time. Time, in Long Chen's eyes, became a long river, and on this long river, the endless time laws formed a door of origin. It crossed the boundary of time, and descended upon the tentacles of the Black Llama Beast King. A majestic force from the beginning of time had sent the tentacles that covered the entire cavern far away into space and time, completely separating them from the body of the Black Llama Beast King. The tentacles were destroyed, and the slaughtering blood sword was released. Bright red light exploded, filling the entire cavern once again, forming thousands of blood swords that descended upon the black meatball of the Black Llama Beast King. Blood Spirit Devour. Without any hesitation, Long Chen sent a strange power from the Jade Dragon seal into the slaughtering blood sword, merging it with the slaughtering laws. The most terrifying slaughtering power in the world was born, and it wanted to devour the soul of the Black Llama Beast King. Ha ha ha, good. But the Black Llama Beast King was not afraid at all. Countless sticky tentacles grew out of the black meatball's body, releasing the supreme law of devouring. Even at the risk of suffering heavy injuries, it once again wrapped around the Crimson Slaughter sword. His soul was being devoured by the terrifying slaughtering power of the Blood Spirit Devour. But at this moment, a shrill roar came from the depths of the cavern. Then, a huge black meatball leaped out from the depths of the cavern, charging towards Long Chen. There were actually 2 Black Llama Beast Kings sealed in this cavern. Long Chen's expression changed slightly. No wonder the Black Llama Beast King was willing to suffer heavy injuries to trap his slaughtering blood sword. It was waiting for the other Black Llama Beast King to attack. Chapter 3676. Long Chen did not expect that there would be 2 Black Llama Beast Kings sealed in this cave, 1 male and 1 female, and that they had set up such an ambush for him. At this time, the Crimson Massacre sword in Long Chen's left hand had already been entangled by countless sticky tentacles, and he could not break free. Of course, the Blood Spirit Devourer was constantly devouring the other party's soul in an attempt to kill the male Black Llama Beast King. But before that happened, the other female Black Llama Beast King would have already devoured Long Chen. "You're dead meat." A shrill roar came from afar, and instantly reached Long Chen's ears from the depths of the cave. The female Black Llama Beast King was also parasitizing a mystical dragon. That black ball of flesh was constantly expanding and contracting, and it looked extremely disgusting. The seemingly endless sticky tentacles had already occupied the entire cave, surrounding Long Chen's entire body. A kind of devouring power that penetrated deep into the soul was acting on Long Chen's entire body. As the other party's sneak attack was too sudden, Long Chen was not mentally prepared for it. In an instant, a part of his soul was devoured by the other party. However, the other party only had this opportunity for a split second. Sky Blood River. The Crimson Slaughter sword in Long Chen's hand blossomed with a brilliant blood-red light, accompanied by endless killing intent in his eyes. At this moment, it burst out and condensed into a towering river of blood that ran through the entire cave filled with sticky tentacles. The Crimson Massacre sword, which had been firmly suppressed by the male Black Llama Beast King, actually broke free in an instant. With a blood-red glow, it slashed down, as though it could slash through thousands of worlds. One by one, the black sticky tentacles were sliced off by this slash. The 2 Black Llama Beast Kings retreated at the same time. More than half of the sticky tentacles on the black ball of flesh had been sliced off, and the entire cave was filled with sticky liquid. How powerful! As expected of the inheritors of the ancestral dragon. This explosive power has surprised me. The female Black Llama Beast King's shrill voice rang out. It did not sound as though she was surprised by Long Chen's battle prowess. Instead, she seemed delighted. However, it's too early for you to be happy now, the powerful voice of the male Black Llama Beast King reverberated throughout the cavern. Following his words, the sticky liquid that had been splattered all over the cavern seemed to have come to life, shooting towards Long Chen's body. Long Chen did not expect his opponent to have such a trick up his sleeves. In an instant, his entire body was covered in the viscous liquid, causing his movements to become extremely sluggish. Moreover, the viscous liquid continued to devour his flesh and blood, wanting to devour him completely. It's almost time to enjoy this delicacy that has been delivered to our doorstep. The female Black Llama Beast King became excited. The black meatball moved quickly, charging towards Long Chen. It brought with it even more viscous liquid, wrapping Long Chen in layers. The upper bodies of the two Black Llama Beast Kings were also covered in the viscous liquid. This viscous liquid could be used both offensively and defensively for the Black Llama Beast Kings. It had become a powerful weapon for them to defeat their enemies. Devour, devour, devour. The black meatball of the male Black Llama Beast King once again grew countless viscous tentacles, wrapping around Long Chen once more. The viscous liquid and tentacles had completely wrapped Long Chen up like a meat dumpling. The Black Llama Beast Kings stood on either side of Long Chen, greedily feeling the viscous liquid devouring Long Chen. They could feel Long Chen's strength being continuously devoured and drained away. The two Black Llama Beast Kings felt a sense of satisfaction from the depths of their hearts. However, their good times did not last long. Although Long Chen was surrounded by the viscous liquid and his movements were sluggish, he did not panic. A brand new power of the law was displayed by him. The necklace of fate and the chains of time intertwined, and very quickly, an hourglass was formed in an empty space. Hourglass of fate. Long Chen's eyes, which were covered by the viscous liquid, shone with the flames of the heavens. This was a pair of eyes of fate. Under the control of the law of fate, the viscous liquid that surrounded him was all absorbed into the hourglass of fate. The hourglass of fate was tightly bound by the chains of time, causing the flow of time in the cavern to be completely under Long Chen's control. With the appearance of the hourglass of fate, the blood essence of the two Black Llama Beast Kings were linked to the flow of time in the hourglass. As time flowed in the hourglass of fate, the strength of the two Black Llama Beast Kings began to weaken. The viscous liquid that surrounded Long Chen's body also contained a devouring power that became weaker and weaker. Very soon, it could no longer cause any harm to Long Chen. The hourglass of fate used the eyes as a medium to absorb the Black Llama Beast King's blood essence, causing the strength of the Black Llama Beast King to decrease along with the hourglass, until it could no longer pose a threat to Long Chen. The expressions of the two Black Llama Beast Kings changed from excitement to fear. They did not expect Long Chen to have such a trick up his sleeves. The appearance of the hourglass of fate instantly destroyed the advantage that they had built up. Blood spirit devouring soul, die. Long Chen's eyes shone with endless killing intent. He pulled out the slaughtering blood sword with his left hand. As a mysterious force from the Jade Dragon seal entered the sword sliced through the air. The terrifying power of the blood spirit devouring soul instantly tore at the souls of the two Black Llama Beast Kings, destroying them completely. The Black Llama Beast Kings, who were suppressed by the hourglass of fate, could not resist at all. Even if you kill us, you won't be able to escape from the hands of the holy leaders. The holy leaders of our race will definitely devour you and this world. Ah. The two Black Llama Beast Kings were not willing to die just like that. However, their lives were no longer in their hands. Before they died, they could only curse at Long Chen, hoping that the holy leaders of the sky-swallowing race would take revenge for them. The two of you are just the beginning. Long Chen stood resolutely, the flame of fate in his eyes slowly extinguished. At the same time, the lives of the two Black Llama Beast Kings finally came to an end. Their souls were torn to pieces by the blood spirit devouring soul rules. The holy leaders of the sky-swallowing race. One day, I will slaughter them all. Long Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent as he turned and left the cave. These two black llama beasts had completely ignited his killing intent. He did not stop and rushed to the next cave as fast as he could. In every cave in the beehive, there were different kinds of sky-swallowing race sealed. Other than the 9 caves in the middle, Long Chen could enter all the other caves. He wanted to kill all the members of the sky-swallowing race that he could. When he thought of the unforgettable hatred in the depths of his heart, Long Chen's murderous heart simply couldn't stop. Bloody scenes of slaughter played out in countless caves. Chapter 3677. In the thousands of caves in the beehive, countless sky-swallowing clan members were slaughtered by Long Chen. In all the caves, there were countless corpses of the sky-swallowing clan members. In a cave that was a few hundred meters in diameter, there were a few giant birds with crimson wings. Their sharp mouths that could devour the world were all cut into pieces. In a cave that was only a few meters in diameter, there was only a pool of blood. Not even the corpses of the sky-swallowing clan members could be found. The more Long Chen slaughtered, the more satisfied he was. The sky-swallowing clan members were the enemies of all living beings in the myriad worlds. Unless they were completely slaughtered, there was no way to vent the hatred in Long Chen's heart. In the primogenitor's world, time was sometimes fast and sometimes slow. No one knew how much time had passed. Long Chen was determined to kill. He was determined to slaughter 100,000 sky-swallowing clan members. In the caves, there were scenes of brutal killing. In between, Long Chen encountered some danger, but he was always able to avert it. At crucial moments, Shen Wan and the other 3 primogenitor divine warriors would help. They were equivalent to the 4th era's primordial ancestor god. Against the sky-swallowing clan members that had been sealed for a long time, they were powerful enough to deal with them. More than 100,000 sky-swallowing clan members were slaughtered by Long Chen. Among them, there were only a few fire-type sky-swallowing clan members left. Long Chen spared their lives and did not kill them for the time being. This was because Long Chen thought of Mo Xiaolang. As there was no flame to devour, his power was still at the 8th era's primordial ancestor god level. If he could bring Xiaolang here and devour all the fire-type sky-swallowing clan members, his power would definitely increase greatly. Other than that, there were only the 9 biggest caves that he had not dealt with. However, Long Chen did not dare to touch them now because he could feel a rather dangerous aura from those caves. The sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord's power must be extraordinary. Even a divine demon Holy Lord is difficult for me to deal with. Divine demon Holy Lord seems to be the weakest sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. As Long Chen thought of this, he did not touch the seals of the 9 biggest caves. These seals seemed to be very sturdy. He had to increase his power to have the ability to deal with the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. Coming out of the last cave, Long Chen's left hand of the slaughtering bloody sword trembled. This was not a tremble of fear, but a tremble of excitement. Sky-swallowing clan. Sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord Long Chen had finally been avenged. And the rest, sky-swallowing clan Holy, they swallowing holy saints, clan of swallowing. However, Long Chen was not satisfied because of this. He knew that the members of the sky-swallowing clan that he had killed were merely pawns. If he really wanted to eliminate the sky-swallowing clan, the key was still the sky-swallowing clan's holy leaders. And these were not things that he could deal with right now. After coming into contact with so many members of the sky-swallowing clan, Long Chen had been trying to find out the exact strength of the sky-swallowing clan holy leader. Unfortunately, none of the sky-swallowing clan revealed any relevant information. In any case, Long Chen was in a good mood, but there was still an extremely serious problem in front of him. That was, how was he going to leave this place? After such a long time, the 26 primogenitor lifeforms had worked together to attack the outermost barrier of the giant beehive, and they had actually achieved good results. When Long Chen arrived near the barrier, he saw that there was a relatively weak point on the barrier. Perhaps after a while, the other party would be able to break a hole in the barrier. Once the other party entered this place, Long Chen's situation would become extremely dangerous. It could be said that his life was hanging by a thread. He wasn't afraid of a one-on-one fight, but the other party had a total of 26 primogenitors, and each of them had the strength of a fourth epoch primordial ancestral god, not much weaker than Long Chen. Hee, kid, do you see that? This barrier and your protective umbrella won't be able to last much longer. When the time comes, I'd like to see what other tricks you have to escape from us. The ancestral ogre fox's eyes flashed with a cunning and sinister light as it spoke when it saw Long Chen. During this period of time, Long Chen had almost walked through the entire giant beehive, but he still couldn't find a way to leave. Now that the other party was about to break the barrier, Long Chen didn't intend to sit around and wait for death. It just so happened that he had some insights into his own laws in the previous battle, and he wanted to give it a try. Soon, Long Chen arrived near the barrier and faced the 26 primogenitor lifeforms. Both parties were separated by a barrier, and the other party had already blasted a weak point on the barrier. Under the continuous bombardment of the other party's laws, a hole would probably appear on the barrier soon. By then, Long Chen would be in big trouble. You'll have to pay the price if you want to attack me, Long Chen said as he observed the barrier. His tone contained a trace of contempt, and he intended to disrupt the other party's concentrated attacks on the barrier. These words immediately angered the 7 ancestral phoenixes. Paying the price. Didn't that mean Huang Wen, who had died at Long Chen's hands? They had lived with Huang Wen for countless years, and they had established a very deep relationship with each other. Now that they heard Long Chen's words, they flew into a rage and bombarded the barrier even more violently. Kid, you actually killed Huang Wen. We cannot live under the same sky as you. That's right, God One, and the 4 of you. When the time comes, none of you will be able to escape. The 7 ancestral phoenixes roared at Long Chen with boundless anger. Long Chen continued to carefully observe the barrier and prepare for his own attack. In his divine kingdom, God One smiled and said, "Speaking of revenge, how can you only focus on us?" "That's right." God 3 immediately said, "Back then, the 10 of us joined forces to deal with Huang Wen. Apart from our ancestral divine marshal and Long Chen, there were 6 others. Ancestral ghostly fox. He was the one who provided us with the whereabouts of your ancestral phoenixes. Ancestral Kuanpeng, ancestral Taotai. Wait a minute, they were all accomplices." The expressions of the 7 ancestral phoenixes instantly darkened when they heard this. They could not refute this fact, but they also knew that this was definitely not the time for internal strife. The key was to break the barrier, kill Long Chen, and obtain the 5 ancestral roots. Trying to drive a wedge between us? God One, you are all very naive. The ancestral ghostly fox said sinisterly, "After such a long time, all of us have reached a consensus and agreement. How can we fall out because of a few words from you? Just wait for us to break this barrier." At that moment, Long Chen suddenly made a move. "It's about time. Perhaps this will work," Long Chen muttered as he stared at the barrier in front of him. His idea was very simple. Since he could pass through the barrier, could he pull one of the opponents in? If that was the case, it would become a situation where Long Chen would fight one of the opponents alone. Perhaps that would solve their current predicament. The best choice was obviously Qi Yi, who possessed the origin of the Chaos Calamity Dragon world. Chapter 3678. The 26 primogenitor lifeforms constantly bombarded the barrier. The weak point of the barrier became weaker and weaker, and a hole could be created at any time. The leader of the Qilin, Qi Yi, was incomparably calm as he constantly bombarded the barrier with powerful laws. At the same time, he was paying attention to Long Chen's every move. Right at this moment, the time chains that were coiling around Long Chen's body suddenly moved, causing the surrounding time to become chaotic. In the primogenitor world, time flowed without rules. When Long Chen's time chains moved, the surrounding time became even more chaotic. Time entanglement. A kind of time law that Long Chen had never used before roared out from the time chains. It actually penetrated the barrier that was obstructing the primogenitor lifeforms and surrounded Qi, who was attacking the barrier. Countless mystical lines formed by the laws of time were like spiderwebs that trapped Qi. Under the laws of time entanglement, the time that Qi encountered seemed to have stopped. This also meant that Qi couldn't move at all. Although the time entanglement law could only stop Qi, who was equivalent to the fourth epoch's primordial ancestor god, for a moment, it was already enough for Long Chen. Come in. Boundless laws erupted from Long Chen's body, triggering the time chains on his body to move. He actually pulled Qi away and passed through the barrier. Just as Long Chen expected, this barrier was left behind by the 9 great ancestor dragons, which was equivalent to Long Chen leaving it behind himself. This was his power. Not only could he move freely between the barriers, but he could also pull others through the barrier. In this way, he could create a one-on-one situation. Although Qi and the other primogenitor lifeforms were equivalent to the fourth epoch's primordial ancestor god level, if it was a one-on-one battle, Long Chen wasn't afraid. In just an instant, Qi was pulled through the barrier and faced Long Chen. The other 25 primogenitor lifeforms were instantly shocked as they didn't expect Long Chen to be able to execute such a method. The crucial point was that when Long Chen was pulling Qi, the time around Qi seemed to have stopped, and the others had no way to stop it. Qi himself was shocked as well. With the obstruction of that barrier, he completely didn't expect that Long Chen would make a move against him. However, the moment he opened his eyes, he had already passed through this barrier and was face to face with Long Chen. The initial surprise didn't last long, and it quickly turned into a pleasant surprise. You brought this upon yourself. Originally, I didn't know how long it would take to break through this barrier, but now, you've actually dragged me in. You're simply courting death. Qi was overjoyed. He thought he was stronger than Huang Yi. Although Huang Yi was killed by Long Chen, he believed he could kill Long Chen alone. Those 5 ancestral roots of yours, I want all of them. Qi quickly calmed down. Even though he was confident in himself, he wouldn't underestimate Long Chen. After all, Huang Yi was killed by Long Chen first, and he didn't want to fail miserably. That will depend on whether you have the life to come and take it. When Long Chen saw that Qi was dragged in, he was naturally happy. The other party coveted the 5 ancestral roots on him, so how could he not want to obtain the other party's things? Long Chen had long been determined to obtain the world origin of the Chaos Calamity Dragon, and today was his best opportunity. The 7th ancestral dragon is the ancestral dragon that rules over the dragon sacrificial dragon continent's heavenly tribulation. It possesses the 2 great laws of chaos and calamity. If nothing unexpected happens, this Qi won't be my opponent, Long Chen thought. At this moment, Qi didn't say anything else and finally made his move. As his huge body trembled, a desolate aura from the endless ancient times spread out and filled the surrounding space. His eyes were filled with desolate tribulation lightning, and he instantly blasted it at Long Chen. Desolate endless heavenly tribulation. Countless black lightning laws burst out from Qi's eyes, turning the entire space into purgatory. The power of the tribulation law caused space to tremble and time to become chaotic, wanting to turn everything in this space into nothingness. The black lightning descended, bringing with it endless calamity. Its might was boundless, and it shocked the 25 ancestral lifeforms outside the barrier. Such a method has already surpassed us. It seems like Qi can definitely kill this person. The power of the ancestral roots is indeed extraordinary. Even though Huang Yi was killed by this kid, Qi's power is clearly stronger than Huang Yi's. That kid has 5 ancestral roots. Moreover, he even plundered the ancestral roots from Huang Yi. The attraction of 5 ancestral roots was boundlessly great for these ancestral lifeforms. In their long and silent lives, these ancestral lifeforms had almost nothing to pursue. Now that an ancestral root had finally appeared for them to fight over, how could they not join forces? As they watched Qi attack Long Chen, and the endless desolate tribulation tentacles shook the entire battlefield, their eyes revealed a crazed desire. In particular, the 7 ancestral Qilins were even more excited. After all, if Qi obtained the ancestral roots from Long Chen, he would definitely consider them first. However, there were a few ancestral lifeforms that were slightly worried about the current situation. This included the scheming ancestral ghostly fox. This ancestral lifeform stared at the battlefield, and its eyes kept darting around. It was clear that it didn't believe that Qi could kill Long Chen. Long Chen, this kid first killed Huang Yi, and now he's dealing with Qi. Now, he's taking the initiative to pull Qi into the barrier. This shows that he's very confident in himself. The ancestral ghostly fox knew that the current situation wasn't too good. Originally, it thought that with the power of the 26 ancestral lifeforms, it would definitely be able to easily kill Long Chen and plunder his ancestral roots. However, it didn't expect that Long Chen would escape to the ancestral divine dragon's nest and use the barrier to deal with them. Success or failure depends on Qi. The ancestral ghostly fox's eyes flickered with hope. As long as Qi could succeed, everything would be fine. If Qi failed and was killed, the situation would be even worse. Inside the barrier, endless black lightning rumbled. The desolate tribulation law roared and surrounded Long Chen, wanting to tear him to pieces. Facing the endless black lightning and desolate tribulation, Long Chen remained calm. He raised the slaughtering blood sword in his left hand, and the necklace of life and death released the light of life and death. The slaughtering law and the life and death law fused together, forming the life nirvana sword. The blood-red slaughtering sword light bloomed in an instant and collided with the black chaos tribulation thunderbolts that came crashing down from all directions. Break for me. Under the shocked gazes of the ancestral lifeforms, the life nirvana sword broke the desolate tribulation. The endless black lightning was destroyed by the blood-red sword light and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 3679. The sword of nirvana of life surged over and extinguished the endless desolate heavenly tribulation's black lightning, causing Qi to retreat in shock. That blood-red sword of nirvana of life made Qi feel an extreme threat. It actually shattered his endless desolate heavenly tribulation and neutralized his killer move. However, Qi didn't give up because of this. Furthermore, he couldn't retreat even if he wanted to. Long Chen could pull him into the barrier, but he himself couldn't pass through the barrier. In other words, Qi could only fight to the death with Long Chen now. Qi, if you can't finish off this kid, then you will disappoint us too much. Outside the barrier, the primogenitors started to waver. Seeing Qi's powerful move being easily neutralized by Long Chen, they were really worried that Qi wasn't Long Chen's match. If Qi, who had fused with the ancestral source, was killed by Long Chen, then who among them would be a match for Long Chen? Furthermore, Long Chen could actually pull Qi into the barrier. If he were to deal with the rest of them like this, then the situation would be very bad. Don't worry. Qi said solemnly, and incomparably thick desolate calamity laws were released again. This time, just from the aura alone, it was countless times stronger than that desolate endless heavenly tribulation earlier. 99 Supreme Calamity. Qi yelled out fiercely. Boundless laws of the desolate calamity spread out from his body and condensed into form. It actually formed multiple ancestor Qilin clones. The layers of huge figures surrounded Long Chen. 1, 2, 3, a total of 80 Qi clones, including himself. There was a total of 81 directions of supreme calamity laws, completely suppressing Long Chen. Every clone of Qi was condensed from the endless desolate calamity laws. The 81 directions of supreme calamity laws formed a formation, making Long Chen have nowhere to escape. Let me see how you are going to deal with it. Qi shouted fiercely. This move was the strongest move he could execute after fusing with the world origin of the universe desolate chaos calamity dragon. Every single one of the 81 supreme calamity clones possessed the same destructive power as the clones themselves. Every single clone contained a supreme law of calamity that could crush one's body into pieces. Moreover, there were a total of 80 clones. Under the might of this move, Long Chen was unable to dodge or flee. Even Long Chen was a little shocked when he sensed the power of Qi Yi's attack. Qi Yi had actually unleashed the full power of the 7th Ancestral Dragon. He was indeed stronger than Huang Yi from before. Long Chen was surrounded by the 99 Supreme Tribulation, and the Supreme Tribulation laws were constantly surging towards him from all directions, making him feel like a small boat in a storm. He could be smashed to pieces by the boundless destructive power of the Tribulation laws at any time. Do you need our help? Within Long Chen's God Kingdom, God One and the Ancestral Divine Armaments were a little serious. Even if the four of them joined forces, they might not be able to break through Qi Yi's move. Long Chen was in danger. No need. If this is Qi Yi's strongest law, then he's already dead. Long Chen, on the other hand, was very confident in himself. Just before this, he had massacred the 100,000 members of the Sky Swallowing clan. Although there were not many powerful existences among them, they still gave him new insights into many rules. The chains of time began to wander around his body, bringing about violent time ripples that caused the surrounding time to become chaotic once again. At the same time, the fate laws on the necklace of fate began to change endlessly. The light of fate scattered everywhere, fusing with the time ripples brought about by the chains of time. Finally, the slaughtering blood sword in Long Chen's left hand blossomed with a scarlet brilliance, entwining with the light of fate and the time ripples. The bloody red of slaughter, the deep blue of chaotic time, and the white of changing fate, as the three colors fused, they condensed into the phantom of a divine dragon with 99 giant heads. Each color of the laws fused into 33 giant divine dragon heads, causing the time and fate in the surroundings to tremble. Tricolor Dragon Source, break. Boundless law power surged out of Long Chen's body, constantly fusing into the tricolor dragon source with 99 heads. Among the divine dragon phantom, every head was facing one of Qi Yi's sovereign calamity clones. Boundless law power was vast and mighty. In the violent collision, it was as if the entire primogenitor's world was trembling and shattering. Time became completely chaotic, endlessly changing fate intertwined, and Qi Yi's sovereign calamity clones were smashed one after another. The phantom of a giant dragon head smashed a sovereign's calamity clone into pieces. When 80 sovereign calamity clones were instantly destroyed, there were still 29 giant divine dragon phantom heads that swallowed Qi Yi's entire body from all directions. The three types of law power fused. The tricolor dragon source emitted a terrifying divine might and broke the sovereign calamity law. The remaining energy was boundless and directly swallowed Qi Yi's body. Changing fate, bloody massacre, and trembling time. The three types of law fused perfectly and destroyed Qi Yi's body. Qi Yi never expected that Long Chen would actually execute such a terrifying law. His entire body was instantly swallowed by the tricolor dragon source, causing him to subconsciously use the boundless desolate calamity law to resist the tricolor dragon source's devouring. Even if it was only for an instant, Long Chen had already found an opportunity. While Qi Yi was resisting the tricolor dragon source's devouring, Long Chen didn't give him any time. At this moment, Qi Yi was at his weakest. If Long Chen wanted to kill him, this was the best opportunity. It's about time. Blood spirit devour soul. The law of massacre was vast and mighty. The scarlet color dyed the entire barrier in front of the primogenitor lifeforms. Within the jade dragon Dao seal, a mysterious energy surged into the slaughter blood sword. It condensed into a supreme blood-red sword light that slashed onto Qi Yi's soul. Qi Yi was still resisting the tricolor dragon source's devouring. He was caught off guard, and his soul was completely torn apart. He let out an incomparably painful roar. Die! Long Chen's eyes were completely red. The slaughter blood sword slashed down without any hesitation, completely shattering Qi Yi's soul. Not good. Retreat. Seeing Qi Yi being killed on the spot, the expressions of the 25 primogenitor lifeforms changed drastically. All of them hurriedly retreated. Since Long Chen could pull Qi Yi in and kill him, he could naturally pull any one of them in as well. Compared to Qi Yi, their combat strength was much weaker. It was definitely impossible for them to be Long Chen's opponent. How would these primogenitor lifeforms dare to stay near the barrier and attack it? Chapter 3680. Long Chen's tricolor dragon origin law burst forth and killed Qi Yi, shocking everyone. Qi Yi had merged with the universe chaos calamity dragon's world origin. His strength was much stronger than the other primogenitor lifeforms. That final 9 ultimate calamity was even more shocking. Unfortunately, Long Chen possessed the 5 great nomological powers and was able to adapt to changes in battle to the greatest extent. The 99 divine dragon heads of the tricolor dragon source law happened to be able to restrain his opponent's 99 ultimate catastrophe, so he was able to suppress his opponent for a moment. Just a moment was enough for Long Chen's blood spirit devourer to completely shatter Qi Yi. After Qi Yi's soul disappeared, the body of the primogenitor Qilin also turned into ashes and dissipated in the primogenitor world. The universe chaos calamity dragon's world origin that had merged with it turned into a primogenitor bone sword. Long Chen took it and held it in his hand. Just like the psychedelic pendant, this primogenitor bone sword actually contains the origins of 6 worlds. It's also a complete world origin. Long Chen gripped the primogenitor bone sword tightly and temporarily ignored the other primogenitor lifeforms that had retreated a distance away. Instead, he started to study the primogenitor bone sword. After killing Qi Yi, the other 25 primogenitor lifeforms didn't dare to approach the barrier for the time being. They also didn't dare to gather and attack the barrier. Long Chen obtained a short period of time to relax. However, he was extremely anxious in the depths of his heart. This was because he didn't know how much time had passed since he came to this primogenitor world. One had to know that the divine demon lord was still turning into life particles in the primogenitor world and trying to recover completely. Once the divine demon lord recovered during this period of time, it would be a calamity to the primogenitor world. Therefore, Long Chen wanted to examine the world origin of the primogenitor bone sword and see if he could find any clues to leave this primogenitor world. At the same time, Long Chen and Li Xuanji checked the psychedelic pendant together, but they found nothing like before. They could not find any clues to leave the primogenitor's world. With the psychedelic pendant and the chaos bone sword in hand, Long Chen finally had the world origin of the 7 great ancestral dragons. Unfortunately, he still lacked the origin dragon souls of the universe chaos calamity dragon and the shadow dream charm dragon. Otherwise, Li Xuanji would have already become the 9th ancestral dragon. After a brief examination, Long Chen found nothing. He temporarily put away the chaos bone sword and the psychedelic pendant. Then, he looked at the 25 progenitor life forms outside the barrier. In the entire progenitor world, besides the 4 progenitor divine armaments, there were only 25 progenitor life forms left. However, it was clear that the primogenitor life forms didn't know how to leave the primogenitor's world. Otherwise, they would have left long ago and wouldn't have waited for Long Chen to arrive. Both sides temporarily confronted each other. Qi Yi's death made the remaining 7 progenitor Qilins incomparably furious. But they were unable to break this barrier. Furthermore, with Long Chen guarding here, they also didn't dare to casually approach the barrier. Even if the primogenitor ghostly fox was resourceful, he also couldn't think of any good way to deal with Long Chen now. He could only say probingly, "God won. It's time for you guys to make a move." When these words came out, if it were some suspicious people, they would probably stir up some trouble. Since he was idle, the primogenitor ghostly fox thought of giving Long Chen some trouble. It was just a pity that Long Chen wasn't such a person. He could tell that the progenitor divine armaments sincerely wanted to cooperate with him. Otherwise, If they really wanted to make a move, when he was fighting with Qi just now, the progenitor divine armaments would have already made a move. That was the best opportunity to kill Long Chen. Don't waste your energy. Continue attacking this barrier if you have the guts. The way I see it, your guts are all broken from fear. Haha. Shen San couldn't help but laugh out loud. When he saw Qi being killed and the looks of disbelief on the faces of the traitors, Shen San felt rather satisfied. Now, what he hoped the most was that Long Chen could find a way to leave the primogenitor world. It was just a pity that the 25 primogenitor life forms outside the barrier wouldn't leave so easily. This meant that Long Chen was equivalent to being trapped in this huge beehive. Life in the primogenitor world was really too boring. They wanted to experience different life forms. It was precisely because of this that they were determined to follow Long Chen. Since there's no way for now, I'll search those caves again. There might still be some sky-swallowing clan members hidden that I haven't discovered. Long Chen couldn't think of any good ideas and could only make such a decision. But just as he turned around and wanted to search those caves on the huge beehive again, there was suddenly a sinister and terrifying voice that entered Long Chen's ears. Kid, do you know that the divine demon Holy Lord has already recovered his strength and knows that you've come to the primogenitor world? This voice seemed to be coming from the 9 largest caves. However, Long Chen couldn't be sure which cave it was coming from. Hearing this voice, Long Chen's heart sank. This voice made one feel a deep sense of evil. It also contained the spirit of devouring everything. It was definitely a powerful and terrifying existence that belonged to the sky-swallowing clan. It was very likely that one of the sky-swallowing clan holy lords sealed in the 9 large caves was speaking. Long Chen had already guessed that there was a sky-swallowing clan holy lord sealed in the 9 large caves. Therefore, he wasn't very surprised to hear this voice. However, what made him very anxious was the content of this sentence. The divine demon Holy Lord had actually recovered his strength and knew that he had come to the primogenitor world. If this sentence was true, then the infinite worlds was definitely in an extremely dangerous situation. They might even have been destroyed by the divine demon Holy Lord. If the divine demon Holy Lord had completely recovered his strength, all the 4th era's ancestral gods in the infinite worlds together wouldn't be able to stop him. Endless fury burned in Long Chen's eyes. It was as if he could see the myriad of worlds collapsing and being destroyed under the attacks of the divine demon lords. Billions of living beings vanished into thin air, and even the slightly improved dragon sacrificial continent would completely collapse. Go back. This voice occupied Long Chen's entire mind. He didn't respond to the unknown sky-swallowing clan holy lord's words. Instead, he started to think calmly. The ancestral divine dragons left the primogenitor world and opened up the infinite worlds. Then, where would the passage to the infinite worlds appear? Originally, Long Chen was a little worried about the situation of the infinite worlds. Especially after hearing the evil words of the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord, he was even more anxious. The entire primogenitor world is a vast and boundless scene. The ancestral life forms searched the entire primogenitor world but couldn't find the passage to leave. And the only place that the ancestral life forms haven't been to is the ancestral divine dragon's lair. Long Chen quickly understood this point and locked his gaze on the huge beehive in front of him. If he wanted to leave the primogenitor world, it was very likely that he had to go through the ancestral divine dragon's lair, the huge beehive. Chapter 3681. Long Chen's logic was very clear. In order to leave the primordial world and return to the infinite worlds, they most likely had to start from the ancestor dragon's nest. After all, in the entire primordial world, this was the only place that the other primordial life forms had not been to. If the exit was somewhere else, how could the primordial life forms not have been able to find it? I don't know who the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord is, but regardless of whether he's telling the truth or not, I have to return as soon as possible. Long Chen was burning with anxiety. Without any hesitation, he ignored the remaining 25 primordial life forms and immediately flew towards the huge beehive in an attempt to find the path back to the infinite worlds. Li Xuanji was also very anxious. She pondered for a moment before saying to Long Chen, "When we were slaughtering the sky-swallowing clan, there seemed to be many caves that were rather deep, and there didn't seem to be any sky-swallowing clan in some of the caves. You didn't go deep. Perhaps the path to leave the primordial world and return to the infinite worlds is in one of these caves? I remember there were a few caves. Let's search these caves first," Shen Yi said to Long Chen. Long Chen nodded with a solemn expression. Time was too tight. If he wanted to return to the infinite worlds as soon as possible, he could only search those caves first. Hopefully, it wouldn't take too long. After the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord finished his sentence, there was no more movement. However, the evil aura contained in his words and his eerie smile were all deeply imprinted in Long Chen's mind. He dared not waste a single moment. Outside the barrier, the 25 primordial life forms had been paying attention to Long Chen's actions. When they saw him flying towards the huge beehive anxiously, the 25 primordial life forms became excited again. Do you think he encountered something important? He seems to be very anxious. Why don't we continue to bombard that barrier? As long as we break through the barrier, that brat will have nowhere to go. Maybe he's just playing hard to get. I don't think we should be anxious. Let's wait until he's far away. The primogenitors whispered to each other as they paid close attention to Long Chen's whereabouts. Only when Long Chen's figure disappeared from their sight and disappeared into the shadow of the beehive did they let out a sigh of relief. Following that, all of them grew bolder and approached the barrier once more. They wanted to work together to break through the barrier. After all, to these primogenitors, the ancestral source was simply too attractive. With the ancestral root, not only would their strength receive a relatively great increase, they wouldn't have to suffer the pain of having their lifespans exhausted, and they would obtain eternal life. Outside the ancestor divine dragon's lair, the obstructing barrier shook once again. However, without Qi, the speed at which they attacked the barrier was much slower than before. Long Chen, on the other hand, kept searching in the huge beehive. He listened to Li Xuanji and Shen Yi's suggestion and headed towards the few caves that didn't have the sky-swallowing clan in his memory. First, he entered the first pitch-black cave with a diameter of 4 to 5 meters. There wasn't any strange aura in the cave. Moreover, he reached the end of the cave after walking tens of meters. Looks like this cave was formed naturally. There isn't any sky-swallowing clan sealed inside. It's just an ordinary cave. Long Chen searched and confirmed that there weren't any traps in the cave. Then, he left the cave and headed towards the next cave that didn't have the sky-swallowing clan sealed inside. After searching for a few times and 5 times, Long Chen finally arrived at a pitch-black cave with a diameter of more than 10 meters. The cave was extremely deep and there was a light breeze when he stepped into it. There wasn't any aura of the sky-swallowing clan. Long Chen had been to this pitch-black cave before but he didn't feel the aura of the sky-swallowing clan. Hence, he left very quickly. Now, it seemed like there was something wrong with this cave. Long Chen didn't think too much about it. He stepped into the cave and walked towards the depths of the cave. 1 step, 2 steps, as Long Chen went deeper into the pitch-black cave, he felt that this cave was very likely to be the path back to the infinite world. This was because as he continued to move forward, he had already passed through several barriers like the one before. These barriers were obviously set up to prevent other life forms from passing through this cave. After passing through 7 or 8 barriers, there was a familiar aura coming from the depths of the cave. That familiar aura belonged to the infinite world. It could only come from the infinite world. Moreover, Long Chen had very quickly moved forward in the cave for a very long distance. If there wasn't anything strange about this cave, he should have already passed through the entire huge beehive. But now, this cave was far from the end. Moreover, the deeper he went into the cave, the more there was a sense of time disorder and space whirling. This made Long Chen feel a little happy. Shen Yi, I think I've almost found the path back to the infinite world. Long Chen said to Shen Yi in the Holy Kingdom. That's great. Shen Yi and the other Ancestor Divine Warriors were also very excited. When 6 Ancestor Divine Warriors betrayed them and turned to the Qi Yi Battalion to hunt them and Long Chen, they thought that they were done for this time. But in the end, things took a turn for the better. In the Ancestor Divine Dragon's lair, Long Chen actually found the path back to the infinite world. I wonder what the situation of the infinite world is like now. Li Xuanji was already very anxious. Now that Long Chen had found the path, she became even more anxious. Perhaps it was because she was about to return to the infinite world and see the current situation of the infinite world, so she was very nervous. Divine Demon Holy Lord, if he dares to destroy the infinite world, I will definitely kill him. Endless anger flashed in Long Chen's eyes as he quickened his pace forward. If the Divine Demon Lord really recovers his strength, he will definitely destroy the myriad worlds. The only thing I can't be sure of right now is whether what the evil voice said just now is true or not. Has the Divine Demon Lord really fully recovered his strength? Li Xuanji was even more worried. She thought of Lingxi, Xiaolang, Kitten and the others who were still in the infinite world, and the billions of living beings in the infinite world. Her heart couldn't help but beat faster. As long as I go back, I will know. Long Chen spoke in a low voice. Even though his speed grew faster and faster, his footsteps grew steadier and steadier. When he finally stepped into an expanse of boundless white nothingness, the time and space in his surroundings became chaotic, and this allowed him to know that the moment he returned to the myriad of worlds wasn't far away. Everything in the ancestors' world had been left far behind him. There were 2 things. 1. This Saturday, 18 a.m. WeChat, Feng Qingyang, send red packets, remember to follow. 500 yuan. 2. The new book is about to be released. At that time, there will be many activities and gifts. Please look forward to it. Chapter 3682. The blurry scene around Long Chen gradually disappeared and he appeared in the mysterious Ancestral Dragon Cave. Unknowingly, he had left the primogenitor's world and returned to the infinite worlds. I'm back. Long Chen was anxious. He returned to the mysterious and deep Ancestral Dragon Cave as fast as he could. Soon, he saw the endless dragon sacrificial continent and the situation of the entire infinite worlds. At this moment, he realized that the entire infinite worlds had not changed. He stretched out his hand and easily grabbed some life particles. They were the life particles that the Divine Demon Lord had evolved into. After crushing them, they turned into even smaller life particles that still had a strong life force. They grew and multiplied endlessly, and would never be extinguished. The Divine Demon Holy Lord has not awakened. His power has not fully recovered. Long Chen instantly realized that the Sky-Swallowing Clan Holy Lord's words in the primogenitor's world were lies. As for the purpose of lying to him, perhaps it was to get him to leave the Ancestral Dragon Lair and not kill all the sealed Sky-Swallowing Clan Holy Lords. Although Long Chen could not deal with the Sky-Swallowing Clan Holy Lords in the 9 caves, he could slaughter all the Sky-Swallowing Clan Holy Lords in the other caves. If there were only a few sacred lords left in the Sky-Swallowing Clan, it would become an incomplete Sky-Swallowing Clan. Although the sacred lords might still be able to reproduce, it would take too much time. So, what the voice said was all lies. It was lying to us. Li Xuanji also heaved a sigh of relief. She had been worried about everyone in the infinite worlds, and now, she could finally put her mind at ease. This is the world outside the primogenitor's world, the one known as the infinite worlds. The moment Shen Wan and the other 3 ancestor divine mites stepped out of the mysterious Ancestral Dragon Cave, they were all excited. To the 4 ancestor divine mites, the primogenitor's world was the only place they were born in. They had never been to other places outside the primogenitor's world. But now, they were here. As expected, following Long Chen was the right choice. We finally came out of the primogenitor's world. There was some excitement in Shinsan's tone. He could not wait to come out. Most importantly, they realized that the God-fiend Holy Lord had yet to appear. He was still resting in the state of life particles. This meant that they still had time to experience the true wonders of life. The battle with the sky-swallowing clan would not start so soon. The ancestral divine might could relax for a while. In the following period of time, they would experience a completely different life from before. Although we can't kill the divine demon Holy Lord in the state of life particles, he can't do anything in this state. He won't appear again until he recovers his peak strength. In that case, let's go back to the infinite worlds to take a look, Long Chen said, and prepared to return to the infinite worlds. First, he had to confirm how much time had passed in the primogenitor's world. The time in the primogenitor's world was too fleeting. Long Chen had no concept of time at all. But after returning to the infinite worlds, time became meaningful. Moreover, he had obtained the world origin of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon and the Phantom Dream Dragon, which were the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant respectively. He had to enter the Tower of Time and study it carefully to see if he could find any information about the origin dragon soul. The current Long Chen was still unable to use the primordial Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant. The only thing he lacked was the origin dragon soul. If he could find the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragons, not only would Long Chen's strength increase greatly, but even Li Xuanji would be able to transform into the Umbra Dream Dragon and possess power comparable to the 4th epoch's origin ancestor god. Long Chen had finally returned from the primogenitor's world. Sacred Lord God-Fiend didn't make a move, so he first returned to the myriad worlds and brought the ancestral divine might out from the divine kingdom. The ancestral divine might were very curious about this new world. They constantly looked around, taking in all the scenes in the myriad worlds. Deep in their hearts, there was a sense of yearning. In the infinite worlds, there were billions of living beings, gods, and demons. Their lives were incomparably wonderful. Love, hate, love, anger, sorrow, and joy made the 4 primogenitor divine mights indulge in it. Let me introduce you to my friends first. From now on, we are all on the same side. If there's anything, we can help each other. Long Chen said to the primogenitor divine mights. The primogenitor divine mights nodded. I look forward to meeting more friends. In the primogenitor's world, there are only us old fellows. It's so boring. Shen Si laughed. He looked at the infinite worlds and felt unprecedentedly comfortable. When Long Chen returned to the infinite worlds, Lingxi, Xiaolang, Kitten, and the others all received the news. They hurried over to welcome Long Chen and the 4 primogenitor divine mights together with the 4th epoch's primogenitor divine mights. From then on, with the 4 primogenitor divine mights joining the alliance, the infinite worlds became much stronger than before. Moreover, Long Chen trusted the primogenitor divine mights very much. This was because the 4 of them had accompanied Long Chen in the primogenitor's world to face the other primogenitor lifeforms. If they didn't trust him, it would be impossible. Trust was mutual. If they trusted Long Chen so much, Long Chen would naturally trust them as well. Long Chen first introduced the primogenitor divine mights to everyone. Then, he introduced Lingxi and the others, as well as the 4th epoch's primogenitor divine mights. Looks like we have 4 more comrades. The primogenitor divine mights smiled kindly and befriended the primogenitor divine mights. When they learned that the primogenitor divine mights were fighting together with Long Chen in the primogenitor's world against the other primogenitor lifeforms, the primogenitor divine mights were very friendly to them. After experiencing those tense days in the primogenitor's world, Long Chen, who had returned to the infinite worlds and found that the divine demon lord had yet to recover, could finally relax for a while. After the primogenitor divine mights got to know everyone, they began to travel around the infinite worlds. This was the life they had been longing for. One could imagine how happy they were. When they thought of the 6 primogenitor lifeforms that betrayed them and joined the team to seize the ancestral source, the primogenitor divine mights were especially glad. Fortunately, they had persevered and stood on Long Chen's side. That was how they could see the wonderful infinite worlds outside the primogenitor's world, and Long Chen took advantage of this relaxing time to tell Lingxi, Xiao Lang, and the others everything he had experienced in the primogenitor's world. So the sky-swallowing clan was sealed in the primogenitor's world's primogenitor divine dragon lair. After everyone heard it, they were all amazed. This meant that they had finally found the place where the sky-swallowing clan was sealed. As long as they had enough power, they could wipe out the entire sky-swallowing clan. Chapter 3683. The sky-devouring clan was the enemy of the world. They had a deep-seated hatred with Long Chen. In order to deal with the sky-devouring clan, not only Long Chen, everyone else was willing to give their all. Now, if I want to improve my battle strength, the simplest way is to find the original dragon souls of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon and the Shadow Dream Charm Dragon. I can only find clues from the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant. Long Chen, Lingxi, Xiao Lang, and the others rested for 2 days. After enjoying the 2 days, he knew that everyone was working hard without being lazy at all. Everyone's battle strength had become much greater than before. After that, he entered the 4th story of the Tower of Time and focused on the prehistoric Bone Sword and the psychedelic pendant, the 2 sources of the immortal dragon world. Prehistoric Bone Sword. It contains the rule of prehistoric calamity and disaster. Perhaps it contains the information about the original dragon soul of the prehistoric Calamity Dragon. In the Tower of Time, Long Chen's spiritual energy entered the wilderness Bone Sword as he started to search it meticulously. Layers of fog surrounded Long Chen's mind. This was the protective power of the Great Desolate Bone Sword. It contained the laws of the Great Desolate Era and Calamity. If it wasn't for this protective power, the information hidden within would have been obtained by Qi. Qi had integrated with the prehistoric Bone Sword for many years. However, he didn't discover any deeper secrets from it. It could be seen that it would not be smooth for Long Chen to find the original dragon's soul of the 7th ancestral dragon. However, as long as there was any information left by the 7th ancestral dragon, Long Chen would be able to obtain it after spending some time. What he was afraid of was that the 7th ancestral dragon didn't leave any information. This possibility might be fatal. However, Long Chen believed that the 7th ancestral dragon should have given him some hints. These hints were most likely in the prehistoric Bone Sword. After Long Chen calmed his mind, the heavy fog within the primal desolation Bone Sword constantly dispersed in all directions. At every moment, Long Chen felt as though the fog had been pushed aside and he could see the clouds. However, every time the fog dispersed, even more fog appeared in front of him. The fog seemed to be endless as it surrounded him layer by layer. Even his escape route was completely blocked. Right now, Long Chen could only move forward. In order to protect the myriad worlds, his family and brothers, and the billions of demon supremacies, Long Chen had to find the location of the 7th ancestral dragon's origin dragon soul, increase his own strength, and completely annihilate the sky-devouring clan. The dense fog was uncovered layer by layer. Long Chen didn't know how much time had passed in the Tower of Time. In the wilderness Bone Sword, Long Chen's concept of time became blurred once again. Around Long Chen, there was nothing but fog. It was as if the fog was endless. Even Long Chen wasn't sure how much time had passed. Finally, he encountered a barrier that was similar to the one outside the Ancestor Divine Dragon. This should be a barrier to prevent others from peeping into the secret. However, it was useless to Long Chen. Finally found it? Long Chen became spirited. Now that he had seen something other than the dense fog, could it be that the secret hidden in the primal desolation Bone Sword was about to be revealed? After Long Chen passed through this barrier, an extremely familiar scene appeared in front of him. It was a huge beehive-like existence in a vast expanse of whiteness. The lair of the Ancestor Divine Dragon. Long Chen's heart pounded. After taking a closer look, he realized that there was a faint attractive force coming from the largest caves in the lair of the Ancestor Divine Dragon, as if it was guiding him to hide something in those caves. Could this be the whereabouts of the origin dragon soul? Within the primordial bone sword, he parted the layers of thick fog. After an unknown amount of time, Longchen actually found the scene of the ancestor divine dragon's lair. This must be the universe primordial calamity dragon showing him something. It was very likely that the origin dragon's soul of the universe chaos calamity dragon was hidden in one of those huge caves. Thinking about it, this was the most likely possibility. Because whether it was the ancestor's world or the infinite worlds, there had been no news of it. If it was hidden in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon, it would explain why he couldn't find it. Longchen was still worried that he was wrong. After his consciousness left the primal desolation bone sword, he once again entered the psychedelic pendant. Endless psychedelic rules surrounded him. Just like in the primal desolation bone sword, he spent an unknown amount of time and finally found the scene of the ancestor divine dragon's lair in the deepest part of the psychedelic pendant. If only one of the primal desolation bone sword and the psychedelic pendant gave such a hint, he might have misunderstood it. However, since both of them gave such a hint, he could basically be sure. The origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon were hidden in the ancestor's world, in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon. After this discovery, Longchen left the Tower of Time and found Emo Xiaolang. I've spent a month searching for the origins of these two worlds. Now, I'm going back to the ancestor's world to try to get the origin dragon souls of the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon. Xiaolang, come with me to devour the fire attribute sky-devouring clan sealed in the lair of the ancestor divine dragon. How about that, said Longchen. Of course, Emo Xiaolang was willing. Previously, Longchen had told him about it when he first came back. Emo Xiaolang was looking forward to it. If I devour the power of the sky-devouring clan, my strength will definitely increase a lot. Then, I'll be able to help you more. Then, Longchen took Emo Xiaolang and Li Xuanji to his own celestial kingdom and prepared to set off for the ancestor's world again. Before leaving, Longchen inquired about the 4 ancestor divine mites. He found out that the 4 of them were actually separated in the infinite worlds and had transformed into 4 ordinary people. They traveled in different worlds and experienced all kinds of reality and love and hatred. This was probably the only time they could enjoy life. After all, once the sky-devouring clan holy lords woke up and recovered their strength, they would definitely help to resist. In the process of battle, it was normal to have some sacrifices. Who knew, they might be devoured by the sky-devouring clan holy lords. The ancestral divine mites didn't act recklessly. Rather, they enjoyed this rare freedom and richness, so no one paid any attention to them. The ancestor gods of the 4th era had cautiously looked at the 4 of them at first, but now, they turned a blind eye to them and completely regarded them as one of their own. Let's go. Longchen knew that time was of the essence. The earlier they got the origin dragon soul, the earlier they could fuse with it and increase their strength. Then, they would be more confident in the battle against the sky-devouring clan holy lords. Tomorrow at 18 p.m., they would send the password for the Alipay red packet on WeChat. Once they received the password, they would open their Alipay account and enter the password for the red packet. Those who did not follow could search for Feng Qingyang on WeChat. Follow and wait for me to send it on time. Chapter 3684. The origin of immortal dragons was covered with dense mist and shadows. Longchen took Emo Xiaolang and Li Xuanji into the immortal country. After that, he entered the origin of immortal dragons once again. This time, the scene was as same as last time. However, Longchen felt much more reassured. Last time, Longchen didn't know what was in the depth of the origin of immortal dragons. However, now, he knew that it was the primogenitor's world. Fear and restlessness came from the unknown. After Longchen knew what was in the origin of immortal dragons, he didn't feel scared or restless anymore. However, he was still a bit nervous about entering the primogenitor's world in such a way. After all, if he entered the primogenitor's world and was chased by those primogenitors again, he might encounter dangers. Additionally, Longchen didn't know how to find the cave which contained the original dragon's soul among the 9 huge caves. What if I break the seal and release the master of Sky-devouring clan? Zhang Tai had to consider this possibility carefully. However, he might cross the bridge when he came to it. Perhaps, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant could provide him with some clues. Previously, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant were blocked by layers of barriers. Therefore, Long Chen couldn't discover the hidden information in them in the primogenitor's world. However, after exploring the fourth floor of the Tower of Time for almost 1,000 years, Long Chen finally broke the barriers. If he returned to the vicinity of the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon, the primitive bone sword and psychedelic pendant might bring him new clues. Of course, there might not be any clues. Everything could only be known after Long Chen returned to the vicinity of the lair of the ancestor mystical dragon. In the depth of the origin of immortal dragons, time started to be chaotic once again. Perhaps, time became meaningless in the primogenitor's world. After an unknown period of time, Long Chen finally passed through the passage and returned to the misty primogenitor world. Then, without any hesitation, he quickly flew in the direction of the ancestor dragon's lair. In order to obtain the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon's origin dragon souls as soon as possible, Long Chen did not do anything meaningless. Instead, he flew straight to where the ancestor divine dragon was. If the 25 ancestor life forms were still guarding outside the giant beehive, then Long Chen would be able to bypass them as fast as he could and charge into the vicinity of the ancestor divine dragon's nest, passing through the barrier. This place is the birthplace of all primogenitors. The ancestral dragons were also born here. Mo Xiaolang, who had come to the primogenitor world for the first time, felt a little emotional. That's right. The entire Sky-devouring clan should be sealed here, in the lair of the ancestor mystical dragons. Long Chen nodded. Now, Long Chen was already familiar with the route in the primogenitor world. He did not need the ancestor divine might to lead the way. He felt that he was very close to the ancestor mystical dragon's nest. When he was still quite a distance away, Long Chen began to use the Eye of Life Origins to probe the vicinity of the ancestral mystical dragon's lair. It turned out that there were only 6 ancestral lifeforms left guarding it. The other ancestral lifeforms seemed to have left this place after seeing that Long Chen had not returned for a long time. This situation is not too bad for me. Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. There were only 6 primogenitors guarding. Even if he forced his way through, he would be able to break through the enemy's encirclement. As long as there were not all 25 primogenitors, Long Chen's situation was very advantageous. Soon, he saw the giant beehive of the ancestor mystical dragon. There was still an invisible barrier outside. It seemed that after Long Chen left, these primogenitors did not continue to destroy this barrier. Perhaps they thought that you would not return. Li Xuanji made a slight guess. After thinking about it carefully, this was the only possibility. After all, Long Chen had left this place for a long time. From the perspective of these primogenitors, there was no need for Long Chen to return. However, these primogenitors did not know that the ancestor mystical dragon's nest was a place that Long Chen would definitely return to. Look, that kid is back. The 6 primogenitor life forms that stayed behind were originally chatting idly, but very quickly, they discovered Long Chen, who was approaching at an extremely fast speed. Among them, Ancestor Beiza's expression was calm. He immediately commanded the 5 people beside him to take action. They quickly flew towards Long Chen and formed an encirclement. Obviously, they had already conveyed the news of Long Chen's return to the other primogenitors. So long as they were able to buy some time and prevent Long Chen from stepping foot into the barrier, then they would be able to kill Long Chen and seize the 7 ancestral roots in his possession. After killing Huang Yi and Qi Yi, Long Chen's ancestral roots, which were also the ancestral dragon's world origins, had reached 7. This was undoubtedly a great temptation for these primogenitors. You still want to stop me? Do you know that I have already found the passage to the outside world? Now, the 4 ancestor divine marshals are enjoying a life that they have never enjoyed before. When Long Chen saw the enemies surrounding him, he laughed heartily. he did not slow down and continued to charge into the encirclement. When they heard Long Chen's words, 3 of the primogenitors hesitated for a moment. This was because they were originally on the same side as the ancestor divine marshals and wanted to follow Long Chen. Later on, when they realized that they could not do anything, they betrayed Long Chen and the ancestor divine marshals and stood on the side of the other primogenitors. Therefore, these 3 primogenitors yearned for life in the outside world. When they heard Long Chen's words, they slowed down the encirclement for a moment. This gave Long Chen the best opportunity to break out of the encirclement. Sky Blood River. The bloodlust sword flashed with scarlet light and drew a long river. The sword intent reached the sky and the blood river spread. In an instant, a path of blood was broken through the encirclement of the remaining 3 primogenitors. The 3 primogenitors, including Biyao, had their laws broken by this sword. An opening appeared in the encirclement and Long Chen passed through. "What are you doing?" Biyao could not help but feel angry. If the 6 of them had surrounded him, Long Chen would definitely not have been able to escape. However, because of Long Chen's words, the 3 primogenitors on their side actually hesitated for a moment. They only hesitated for a moment and Long Chen directly broke through their encirclement. It was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to keep Long Chen here. "Long Chen, I am willing to follow you. How about you bring me to the world outside the ancestors' world?" The 3 primogenitors ignored Biyao and immediately said when they saw that Long Chen had broken through the encirclement. Chapter 3685. Ancestor Bays could not believe what it was hearing. "Are you out of your minds?" Biyao felt that the 3 of them were unreasonable. Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Hun Dun, and Ancestor Cheong Chi, the 3 primogenitors spread out and actually helped Long Chen block the 3 primogenitors who continued to chase after him. "There's nothing unreasonable about it. From the start, I wanted to leave this ancestor's world to experience a more exciting and rich life. It's a pity I chose the wrong side," said Ancestor Tao Tai. Ancestor Cheong Chi and Ancestor Chaos were the same. This made Long Chen face a choice. If he trusted Ancestor Tao Tai and the others now and joined forces to deal with Ancestor Biyao, it was very likely that he would be able to capture all 3 of them in one fell swoop. Not only would he gain 3 allies, but he would also be able to weaken the enemy's overall strength by a quarter. With this, Long Chen wouldn't have to be so afraid the next time he encountered the primogenitor lifeforms. However, what if the primogenitor Tao Tai and the other 2 didn't really want to follow Long Chen? If that was the case, Long Chen would be putting himself in danger again if he turned back. Moreover, Long Chen's main goal now was not to deal with these ancestral life forms, but the sky-swallowing clan. If possible, Long Chen hoped that these ancestral life forms would stand on his side. "If I don't turn back now, Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Hun Dun, and Ancestor Cheong Chi definitely won't be a match for Ancestor Biyao. After all, the other ancestor lifeforms will be here soon." Long Chen thought, and finally made a difficult decision: turn back and help. If primogenitor Tao Tai and the others truly wanted to follow Long Chen, then Long Chen would easily gain 3 new allies now that he had turned back. The biggest reason Long Chen had made up his mind was that even if the primogenitor Tao Tai and the others went back on their word and trapped him in an encirclement of the 6 primogenitor lifeforms, he still had a way to escape. That way, he would be able to see the other party's true colors. After making up his mind, Long Chen turned around and swung the slaughtering blood sword at Ancestor Biyao. The blood-colored sword light slashed down. "Let's deal with them together. After killing them, follow me into the lair of Zulong." Long Chen's words were concise and to the point as he spoke to the trio. Ancestral Tao Tai, Ancestral Cheong Chi, and Ancestral Primordial Chaos revealed looks of joy the moment Long Chen turned around. "Huh, I didn't think that you would really come back. The heavens are really helping me." Ancestral Tao Tai laughed wildly. "Biyao, look. Although we were careless and allowed this kid to escape, didn't we just need to say a word and he still came running back? This brat still calls himself the ancestral dragon successor, but he was actually played in circles by us. The ancestral Tao Tai was actually deceiving Long Chen. At this moment, because Long Chen had turned around to deal with Ancestor Bai Zhe, he was once again surrounded by his opponents. The moment he heard the ancestral Tao Tai's words, Long Chen understood the other party's plan. His eyes were instantly filled with anger. The ancestral Tao Tai and the other two had indeed been careless because of Long Chen's words, allowing Long Chen to break out of the encirclement. But immediately after, they beat him at his own game and actually said that they wanted to follow Long Chen to lure Long Chen back. To Ancestor Bai Zhe, this was equivalent to making up for their mistakes. Otherwise, the ancestral Tao Tai and the other two would definitely face harsh criticism from the other primogenitors. Looks like I made the wrong choice. Yi Futian sighed. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword tightly in his left hand. The necklace of fate floated up and the chain of time trembled. The three great nomological laws once again condensed into one. The bloody slaughtering blood red, the chaotic time blue, and the changing fate white. The three great nomological laws once again fused together. 99 giant divine dragon heads appeared in the void and blasted towards the 6 primogenitors who had surrounded them again. It was this three-colored dragon origin nomological law that broke Qi Yi's powerful technique, the 9 ultimate calamity. Furthermore, it allowed Long Chen to take the opportunity to kill Qi Yi and obtain the universe origin of the primordial calamity dragon, the primordial bone sword. Now, this tyrannical move appeared again, causing the expressions of Ancestor Bai Zhe and the others to become incomparably solemn. The three of us will block this move. The three of you, use all your strength to confine him. As Ancestor Bai Zhe spoke, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of nomological power that didn't carry any attributes. He took the lead and faced the 33 bloody divine dragon heads. The other 2 progenitor life forms beside him also activated their own nomological powers and blasted at the other 2 colors of the 33 divine dragon head silhouettes. In an instant, Long Chen's tyrannical nomological law was resisted on the spot. Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Cheongqi, and Ancestor Hun Dun launched a ferocious nomological attack at Long Chen at the same time. The nomological laws that the primogenitors grasped were mostly non-attribute. Only after fusing with the ancestral origin could they comprehend nomological laws with attributes. Now, the 3 types of non-attribute nomological power from Ancestor Tao Tai, Ancestor Cheongqi, and Ancestor Hun Dun actually condensed into one in mid-air and suppressed Long Chen with boundless ferocity. When the 3 powers combined, this thick nomological power's destructive power was extremely terrifying. As long as it touched Long Chen, he would be completely smashed into pieces. Time. Entanglement. The time chains that were wrapped around Long Chen's body made ka sounds again at this moment. The ancient time nomological law instantly condensed. Previously, he used this move to freeze the time around Qi Yi, thus destroying the barrier that pulled Qi Yi in. Now, when this move was used on the nomological power that the 3 primogenitors had combined to condense, it actually produced an unparalleled effect. The ancient time nomological law instantly caused everything in the surroundings to completely stop, including the combined nomological power of the 3 primogenitors. The 3-in-1 nomological power that was about to hit Long Chen and block his path was completely entangled by the time nomological law at this moment. Taking advantage of this moment, Long Chen moved and once again rushed out of the encirclement of the 6 primogenitors. At this moment, the 3 primogenitors finally shattered the 99 divine dragon heads of the tricolored dragon origin. However, they realized that Long Chen had already rushed out of the encirclement and entered the barrier outside the lair of Zulong. It was over. Primogenitor Bei's face darkened. It was obvious that once Long Chen entered the barrier of the lair of Zulong, it would be very difficult for the primogenitors to do anything to Long Chen. Unexpectedly, the 6 primogenitors joined forces to block Long Chen but still failed. This made Primogenitor Bei very angry. I didn't expect his nomological method to be so powerful. Primogenitor Hun Dun, Tao Tai, and Cheongqi looked at each other. Logically speaking, the combined nomological power of the three of them should have been able to stop Long Chen. However, they did not expect their nomological power to be entangled by time. Although it was only for a moment, it was enough for Long Chen to rush out. Yes. Gentle reminder, at 18 p.m. sharp, a 500 yuan red packet will be distributed on the official WeChat account Feng Qingyang. Once you receive the password, open your Alipay account, find the red packet, and enter the password to receive it. For those who have not followed him, quickly tap on WeChat, add him as a friend, and search for Feng Qingyang. Only those with a big account are me. Chapter 3686. Including the primogenitor bays, the 6 primogenitor lifeforms could only watch from outside the barrier as Long Chen passed through the barrier and approached the lair of the Zulong. Soon, the other primogenitor lifeforms that the primogenitor bays had informed arrived outside the barrier. The 25 primogenitor lifeforms had gathered together so quickly. What a waste. The 6 of you surrounded one, but he still managed to escape. After the 7 primogenitor phoenixes arrived, Huang Er couldn't help but curse. Huang, one of the primogenitor phoenixes, had been killed by Long Chen, and the illusionary pendant had been stolen. The remaining 7 primogenitor phoenixes wanted nothing more than to tear Long Chen into pieces. It was a mistake to leave all of you here to guard. The 7 primogenitor Qilans had also arrived. They were also furious that Qi-1 had been killed by Long Chen. Now, they finally had a chance to encircle Long Chen, but Long Chen had escaped. How could they not be furious? To be honest, even if all of you were here, the result would have been the same. The primogenitor bays said faintly. The other party was scolding all 6 of them, so he was too lazy to explain. Back then, when they realized that Long Chen had left the primogenitor world, none of them were willing to stay and guard. In the end, the 6 of them had drawn lots. Now that they had failed to stop Long Chen, they were blamed for it. What a joke. All of you, stop talking. The most important thing now is to kill that brat, not fight amongst ourselves. The primogenitor Ghostly Fox's eerie voice sounded, slightly calming the quarrel. After all, they weren't stupid. They knew that fighting amongst themselves was useless. They had to think of a way to lure Long Chen out, or they had to work together to break the barrier. If Long Chen had stayed by the barrier, these primogenitor lifeforms wouldn't have dared to approach the barrier. After all, Qi-1's death had deeply affected them. What if one of them was captured by Long Chen? That would be a huge loss. They did not want to lose anyone now, so of course they could not destroy the barrier in front of Long Chen. However, the progenitors soon realized that after Long Chen rushed through the barrier, he did not guard the other side of the barrier, but approached the ancestor dragon's nest. From the looks of it, this brat has returned with a goal. This is good for us. We can attack the barrier and try to break it as soon as possible. Bai Zhe said calmly. Seeing that Long Chen was far away, he and the other primogenitors approached the barrier and used the power of rules to attack it. Originally, they were about to break the barrier, but because Long Chen had disappeared, they did not think that Long Chen would return, so they did not continue to attack. After such a long time, the damage that the barrier had suffered was almost completely healed. Therefore, it was equivalent to them starting to attack the barrier again, and it would take a long time. As for Long Chen, of course, he did not have time to waste with them behind the barrier. He returned to the primogenitor world because he had his own things to do. First was to obtain the origin dragon souls of the universe Chaos Calamity Dragon and the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon. Therefore, Long Chen first came to the 9 huge caves and frowned slightly. The 9 caves have all been sealed by the ancestor mystical dragons. Most of the sky-swallowing clan's holy lords are sealed within. I wonder if opening these caves will release the sky-swallowing clan's holy lords. Long Chen thought. The divine demon holy lord was the weakest of the sky-swallowing clan holy lords, but even so, he could not eliminate him. If another one was released, the situation would definitely become very bad. However, The origin dragon souls of the Shadow Dream Demon Dragon and the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon should be in these 9 huge caves, and he did not know how to find them. Little wolf, let's help you devour the fire-type sky-devouring clan first. I left you a few thousand fire-type sky-devouring clan members. If you devour all of them, your strength should increase quite a bit, Longchen said. All right. Mo Xiaolang obviously listened to Long Chen's decision. In reality, his main purpose of coming here was to devour the fire attribute sky-swallowing clan. Of course, it would be even better if he could help Long Chen with other things. Anyway, he was weak now, and could not help Long Chen much, but after devouring the fire attribute sky-swallowing clan, he might be able to. Long Chen looked deeply at the 9 huge caves, and did not hear any voice from the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord. He chose to leave temporarily, and after helping Mo Xiaolang devour the other sky-swallowing clan members, he would come back to study the 9 caves. Very quickly, Long Chen chose a cave that had not been cleaned before. After stepping into it, he sent Mo Xiaolang out of the God Nation. This was a cavern with a diameter of 1,000 meters. As soon as one entered the cavern, a wave of law of fire rushed towards them. The entire cavern walls were roasted into a fiery red color by the law of fire. The temperature inside the cavern was extremely high. Many fire wolves were resting in the cave. When Long Chen and Xiao Lang appeared, these fire wolves instantly opened their eyes, and the flames in the cave rose again, and the temperature rose abruptly. It's the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Xiao Lang saw the scene in the cave, and was shocked. He did not expect to meet the sun-devouring demonic wolf here. It was a pity that these sun-devouring demonic wolves were definitely evil. Otherwise, they would not have been sealed here by the ancestral dragon. Xiao Lang was not the only one who was shocked. The sun-devouring demonic wolves in the cave also felt the aura of their own kind from Xiao Lang. However, they could clearly feel the difference between them and Xiao Lang. Therefore, these sun-devouring demonic wolves exploded instantly, and the flames in the cave surged towards Xiao Lang and Long Chen. It was a pity that these sun-devouring demonic wolves were not of a high level, and were far inferior to Xiao Lang. They could not possibly hurt Long Chen. I'll leave these to you. As for me, I'll guard you against the big ones. Long Chen did not make a move. Instead, he looked around vigilantly to prevent the king of sun-devouring demonic wolves from appearing. Xiao Lang responded and attacked. The dead spirit blood fire and primordial myriad calamity fire burst out and enveloped all the sun-devouring demonic wolves. Then, he used the devouring law to devour all the sun-devouring demonic wolves. These sun-devouring demonic wolves could not retaliate against Xiao Lang's devouring. After a few of them were devoured, they retreated. At the same time, an angry roar came from the depths of the cave. You divine dragon's lackey, how dare you come to my cave and behave atrociously? You must be tired of living. A gigantic fire demon wolf dashed out from the depths of the cavern. Boundless laws of fire swept towards the little wolf, threatening to engulf it. The king of sun-devouring demonic wolves has appeared. At this time, Long Chen finally moved. Chapter 3687. The sun-devouring demonic wolf king that appeared in front of Long Chen and wolf cub had strength equivalent to the fourth epoch's primordial ancestor god, but it was slightly stronger. This was nothing to Long Chen. This level of sky-devouring clan was considered one of the stronger ones in all the caves. There weren't many of them, so killing one was one. You're also from the sky-devouring clan, but you've embarrassed the sun-devouring wolf king. You've become the dog of the divine dragon. You're a disgrace to the sky-devouring clan. The sun-devouring wolf king snorted as soon as it appeared. Then, it called the smaller sun-devouring wolves to retreat. It knew that in a battle of this level, it was useless. I'm different from you. Little wolf remained unmoved. The sun-devouring monstrous wolves beside him had either been devoured by him or called to the back by the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king. So he stopped and glanced at the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king. The soul in my body isn't the soul of the sky-devouring clan. So, devouring you sky-devouring clan members is no different to eating to me. Xiao Lang said in disdain. Damn it, the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's eyes flickered with a fierce light. When it heard Long Chen's words, it immediately roared. The cave was instantly filled with the law of fire. These eternal flames condensed into an earth-shattering wolf fang that attacked Long Chen and the wolf cub. Sky Blood River. Long Chen swung the slaughtering blood sword in his hand. It was as if a blood light was sprinkled from hell. The scarlet light converged into a terrifying sword light that slashed down, breaking all the flame fangs that the sun-devouring wolf king had cast. Time entanglement. Long Chen didn't intend to waste time with the sun-devouring wolf king. The time chain on his body moved and a wave of time power from before the origin of life instantly entangled the sun-devouring wolf king. However, the sun-devouring wolf king's techniques weren't bad. It was difficult to kill it with just these two moves. Demon Wolf devours fire. As the sun-devouring monstrous wolf king's fiery red body turned black, the flames burning on its body turned pitch black. The pitch-black flames surged and actually broke through that instant of time binding. Immediately after, the law of devouring and the law of black flames fused together, forming a long river of flames that instantly covered Long Chen's entire body. But in the next moment, 99 three-colored giant divine dragon heads roared out of the black flames. They broke through the fire-devouring rule power of the demonic wolves and instantly surged towards the sun-devouring demonic wolf king. In the next moment, the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's black flames turned into a giant shield, but it was still sent flying by the giant divine dragon head formed by the tricolor dragon origin. It slammed heavily into the cave wall, causing the entire cave to shake violently. The blood spirit devouring soul is over. Long Chen held the slaughtering blood sword in his hand, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. A scarlet swordlight that was infused with a mysterious power from the dragon jade seal slashed at the sun-devouring demonic wolf king's body. The rule power of the blood spirit devouring soul began to tear at the other party's soul. Soon, the other party's soul would be completely crushed and killed. Lackeys of the divine dragons. Sacred lords, will never let you off. Especially, traitors. The sun-devouring demonic wolf king's soul was constantly being drained, but it still struggled to say such a sentence. It stared at Xiao Lang as though Xiao Lang was its greatest enemy. This mentality was understandable. It was like Long Chen had encountered a human who stood on the side of the sky-devouring clan to deal with him. However, the difference was that the soul in Xiao Lang's body was no longer of the sky-devouring clan. So in essence, Xiao Lang did not belong to the sky-devouring clan. The sun-devouring demonic wolf king's life was drained away, and it could no longer wake up. Then, Xiao Lang began to devour the remaining sun-devouring demonic wolves. Not long after, the entire cave was devoured. Xiao Lang, how do you feel? Long Chen asked. I feel good. My flame power has finally grown again. I haven't felt this in a long time. If I devour a few more sky-devouring demonic wolf king, should be able to step into the 4th era's ancestral god level. By then, my power should be able to catch up to Lingxi and close the gap between us, Xiao Lang said with a smile. After coming out of the cave where the sun-devouring demonic wolves were sealed, Long Chen continued to search the ancestor mystical dragon's lair with Xiao Lang. As long as it was a sky-devouring demonic wolf with a fire attribute, Xiao Lang could devour it to strengthen himself. After walking through several caves, the sky-devouring demonic wolves that were sealed in them all hated Xiao Lang to the core. They felt that Xiao Lang, as a member of the sky-devouring clan, had become a lackey of the mystical dragon. To deal with these small fries that were about to be devoured, Xiao Lang could not be bothered to explain. He used the devouring rules to devour them completely, turning them into a part of his power. Previously, Long Chen had left thousands of sky-devouring demonic wolves with fire attribute for Xiao Lang. Now that Xiao Lang was devouring them, the speed was still very fast. Throughout the process, Long Chen paid some attention to the 25 ancestor life forms outside the barrier. He realized that it would not be easy for them to break the barrier, at least not in a short period of time. Before they break the barrier, we will definitely be able to destroy all the minions of the Sky-Devouring clan. Xiao Lang, you will also be able to improve your power greatly. Long Chen calculated and knew that there was still a lot of time left for them. Hence, he did not care about the primogenitors. After devouring the fire-type Sky-Devouring clan, Wolf Cub should be able to reach the level of the 4th era's primordial ancestor god. By then, the combat power of Long Chen's side would increase again. Moreover, Long Chen's current situation was different from the previous time. Previously, Long Chen was trapped within the barrier and had no way out. This time, however, Long Chen knew how to leave the primogenitor world and head to the infinite worlds. The pitch-black cave in the lair of Zulong was also blocked by a barrier. Long Chen could bring people through it and return to the infinite worlds. However, the ancestor life forms would need to spend an endless amount of time to break the barrier. This was where Long Chen felt most at ease. Even if the 25 ancestor life forms broke the barrier and entered, Long Chen would have enough time to leave. However, they would not be able to follow them to the infinite worlds. Even if they did, the infinite worlds would not need to be afraid of the 25 ancestor life forms. Of course, in that case, a scene similar to the 4th era's ancestor god's civil war would happen again. Long Chen did not want to see that. How to deal with the 25 ancestor life forms was a problem. The best way was to get them to join him. However, this was extremely difficult. At least at this stage, there was no hope. Moreover, Long Chen did not have a good impression of Ancestor Chaos, Ancestor Taotai, and Ancestor Cheong Chi. Even if such traitors stood on his side, how could he guarantee that they would not betray and help the Sky-Devouring clan when the time came? Chapter 3688. After some time, the number of Sky-Swallowing race minions in Zulong's lair had been reduced to a very small number. Originally, Long Chen had only left some fire attribute Sky-Swallowing race. Now that he had brought Xiao Lang over to devour a large wave, they quickly wiped out the remaining Sky-Swallowing race. As Little Wolf finally devoured a fire attribute Sky Devourer of the 4th era's ancestral god level, his aura finally changed. The power in his body experienced a qualitative leap, and he finally stepped into the 4th era's ancestral god level. Since arriving here and starting to devour the sun-devouring demon Wolf King, Wolf Cub had devoured a total of 3/4 epic primordial ancestor god sky-devouring race members. In addition to the thousands of other weak small fries, he had finally achieved a breakthrough in his realm. Just as Long Chen and Xiao Lang had guessed, Xiao Lang, who had stepped into the 4th era ancestral god level, had almost caught up to Lingxi and Long Chen. The gap between him and Long Chen was not huge. I wish I could be like Lingxi and have an emperor ancestor to practice with. Xiao Lang's breakthrough made him itchy. If you want to practice, we have already wiped out the minions of the sky-swallowing race. The remaining 9 caves are filled with sky-swallowing race divine lords. We cannot let them out now. But there is another option. Long Chen squinted his eyes and said, "Aren't there 25 ancestor life forms outside? Each of those ancestor life forms is equivalent to the 4th era ancestral god level. I will think of a way to pull 2 in. Can you handle it? 2 primogenitor lives of the 4th era's primordial ancestral god." "I can try." Xiao Lang was excited. Anyone would have such thoughts after their power increased. And even if they could not handle it, wouldn't they still have Long Chen by their side? However, the problem was that as soon as Long Chen got close to the barrier, the 25 progenitor lifeforms would retreat, not giving him a chance to be pulled into the barrier. "Let's go. We'll check out the area around the barrier first. Maybe we'll find an opportunity," Long Chen said. Then, the 2 of them left the lair of Zulong's gigantic beehive and flew towards the outer barrier. Soon, they saw the 25 progenitor life forms attacking the barrier together. The entire barrier was on the verge of collapsing, and a gap was about to appear. Looks like they've discovered some tricks to continuously bombard the barrier. They can use their techniques to inflict more damage on the barrier and break it faster, Long Chen thought. He and Xiao Lang approached the barrier. Long Chen didn't need to be afraid. As long as the barrier wasn't broken, he wouldn't be in any danger. The ones in danger were the primogenitors. Seeing Long Chen and Xiao Lang appear together, the 25 primogenitors were enraged. This kid is working together with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Did this kid work together with the Sky-Swallowing clan? Despicable. As for the 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes, they were all infuriated. Long Chen had already angered them by killing Qilin 1 and Phoenix 1, and now he was colluding with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Because Long Chen had let Xiao Lang stay in God Nation at the start, these progenitor life forms hadn't seen Xiao Lang. Now that they saw Xiao Lang, they naturally thought he was from the Sky-Swallowing clan. Although they were separated by the barrier, the sun-devouring direwolf's aura was clearly transmitted. The progenitor life forms could feel it. Long Chen and the little wolf naturally couldn't be bothered to say anything to him. Seeing Long Chen and Xiao Lang approach, the 25 progenitor life forms wanted to retreat. They didn't want to be pulled in by Long Chen like Qi. However, Long Chen seized the moment when they were cursing at Xiao Lang. The time chains on his body trembled and he instantly swept out of the barrier. Time entanglement. The eternally changing time rule power seemed to come from ancient times. It immediately entangled the 2 progenitor life forms. They were the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. At that instant, it was too late for the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays to retreat. They were completely entangled by the time chains and the time around them stopped. As for the other progenitor life forms, they had already subconsciously retreated. When they realized that the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays were entangled, it was too late to help. Come in. Long Chen tugged on the time chains and pulled the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays into the barrier. In the next instant, the time entanglement was broken by the nomological power of the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. They instinctively wanted to retreat but realized that they were blocked by the barrier. Only Long Chen could pass through this barrier. Hurry up and work together to break this barrier. The ancestor ghostly fox immediately roared and told the remaining progenitor life forms outside the barrier. The barrier was about to break through, but the arrival of Long Chen and Xiao Lang had disrupted their plans. Since the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays had been pulled in, they had no other choice but to break through the barrier as soon as possible. As for the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays, they had to try their best to buy time so that the other progenitor life forms could break through the barrier. Once the barrier was broken, the 25 progenitor life forms would work together to deal with Long Chen. The key was that ancestor bays and ancestor ghostly fox had to buy time for them. The remaining 23 primogenitor lifeforms naturally couldn't retreat at this time. They charged forward and continued to attack the barrier, causing it to tremble even more. Long Chen, you must die today. You killed Qi Yi and Huang Yi. Did you ever think that this day would come? Even if you join forces with the Sky-Swallowing clan, you won't be able to escape from us. Put in more effort. The 23 progenitor life forms gritted their teeth at Long Chen and used all their strength to attack the barrier together. Long Chen could see through their plan and could not help but frown. Xiao Lang, I'll leave these 2 to you. I'll go and delay the time it takes for them to break through the barrier. After saying that, Long Chen used the time chains on his body and used time entanglement again. Crack crack. Crack crack. The time chains once again entangled the 2 progenitor life forms. However, this time, Long Chen did not dare to pull them in. Otherwise, if these 2 joined forces with Ancestor Bays and Ancestor Ghostly Fox, he and Xiao Lang would have a hard time dealing with them. It was not that they could not defeat them, but it was a matter of time. If Long Chen joined the battle, then the progenitor life forms outside the barrier would definitely be able to break it very quickly. Then, he and Xiao Lang could only run. Now, Longchen did not want to run. After all, the 7th and 9th ancestral dragon's origin dragon souls were still in the lair of Zulong. Chapter 3689. The ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays, who had been pulled into the barrier, saw that Long Chen was interfering with the others' attacks on the barrier. They wanted to stop him, but Xiao Lang caught up to them at that moment. "Your opponent is me." Xiao Lang laughed loudly, and the fire laws around his body rose. Accompanied by 2 streaks of blood fire of the dead spirits, they swept towards the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays. Ancestor bays and ancestor ghostly fox were both arrogant. They had not taken Xiao Lang seriously at first, but when they felt the terrifying destructive power contained in the 2 streaks of blood fire of the dead spirits, they took him seriously and did not dare to think too much about it. "Let's get rid of the sky-swallowing clan first." The ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor bays looked at each other, but did not choose to deal with Long Chen. Instead, they decided to work together to get rid of Xiao Lang first. However, now that Xiao Lang's strength had undergone a transformation, how could he be killed so easily? Ancestor Bays raised its claws, and a domineering whirlwind law was born. Although it was a non-elemental law, the power it contained was equally extraordinary. The whirlwind moved forward quickly, colliding with the blood fire of the dead spirits. Both sides dissipated completely in mid-air, and a wave of airflow rippled in all directions, causing the entire space to tremble. As for the ancestor ghostly fox, it opened its mouth, and a ball of dark spiral law power condensed into a ball, which shot out like a cannonball. When it collided with the blood fire of the dead spirits, both sides exploded, breaking Xiao Lang's preemptive move. Long Chen stood guard by the side of the barrier, using the time chain to perform time entanglement to stop the other party from attacking the barrier. At the same time, he observed Xiao Lang's battle. Although Xiao Lang's strength had undergone a transformation, this was the first time he was dealing with 2 ancestor lifeforms at the same time. Therefore, he had to be careful at all times. In terms of strength, the current Xiao Lang, after devouring so many members of the fire attribute sky-swallowing clan, had the strength to deal with 3 ancestral gods from the end of the 4th era. However, the ancestor ghostly fox and ancestor Bays' strength surpassed that of the ancestral gods from the end of the 4th era. Therefore, they could not be compared. Ancestral chaos divine wind. Ancestor Bays' eyes shone brightly. It spun rapidly and condensed a whirlwind law that was born out of chaos. In an instant, it covered the sky and swept up everything in the surrounding space. Together, it formed a giant tornado and crashed towards the wolf cub. This primal chaos divine wind was like a tornado that assaulted from a boundless distance away, and it seemed to intend to obliterate and sweep away everything in the world and condense it into a part of itself. Facing such a giant tornado, Xiao Lang transformed into his sun-devouring demon wolf true form. Flames gathered around his body as the eternal sacred flame and death spirit blood fire merged together, forming a giant fire wolf claw. Eternal slaughtering flame claw. The eternal sacred fire was the companion fire of the great void cosmic dragon, an ancestral fire born from the time rule. The dead spirit blood fire, on the other hand, was the companion fire of the primordial blood spiritual dragon, which contained endless slaughter rule. The 2 merged to form a giant eternal slaughtering flame claw. Facing the ancestor Bays' ancestral chaos divine wind, it slammed down ferociously. Massacre, time, flame, the 3 rules exploded at the same time, forming a giant vortex in the center of the ancestral chaos divine wind. It actually swallowed the giant tornado that was formed from the ancestral chaos divine wind. Ancestor Bays' rule power was easily broken by Xiao Lang. However, what followed was the sneak attack of the ancestor ghostly fox. The ancestor ghostly fox's rule power leaned towards the darkness attribute, but in reality, it had no attribute. This was the unique characteristic of the primogenitors. Just as the primogenitor Bays and the wolf cub were clashing, the primogenitor ogre fox blended into the shadows of the surrounding space, becoming faintly discernible. Just as the eternal massacre Flaming Claw and the ancestral primal chaos Divine Wind exploded, the primogenitor ogre fox suddenly launched an attack. Phantom Spiral Ancestral Blade. Countless slender blades were born from the shadows. Their shapes were faintly discernible and were extremely well hidden. They formed from all directions and attacked where Xiao Lang was like raindrops. Torrential rain poured down, and every raindrop was a phantom spiral ancestral blade that could destroy all things. Even if one was hit by any one of these blades, they would most likely be torn to pieces by the power of the laws within. But now, Xiao Lang was facing countless dark blades that filled the sky. The danger was unimaginable, and it made Long Chen nervous. Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities. Xiao Lang's expression was calm, and he didn't seem the least bit afraid. Instead, clusters of brilliant flames appeared all over his body. The Heavenly Emperor Ancestral Flame and the Primordial Fire of 10,000 Calamities interweaved to form a Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities that instantly swept across the entire space. In the space engulfed by the Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities, every existence seemed to have encountered an endless calamity. In the endless calamity, their fates were burned to ashes, causing their bodies to completely perish. It wasn't just the shadow spiral ancestral blades that were sweeping over from all directions, even the huge tornado that had just exploded, the ancestral chaos Divine Wind, was completely incinerated by the myriad tribulations fire and turned into nothingness. Furthermore, the Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities continued to spread, and very soon, it enveloped Ancestor Bays and Ancestor Ogre Fox, causing them to instantly face the rule power of the Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities. The power of the rule power was about to burn them to ashes. Phantom Spiral Ancestral Shield. The Ancestor Ogre Fox subconsciously used the rule power, and a dark spiral shield wall appeared around him, blocking the endless Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities outside. However, Ancestor Baze's reaction was a little slower, mainly because he was closer to Xiao Lang, so he didn't have time to activate the rule power to resist, so Xiao Lang seized the opportunity. Hole of Nothingness. Devour. Xiao Lang took this opportunity to use the devouring rule power decisively. He hid in the Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities and attacked Ancestor Baze. In the next instant, the extremely domineering devouring rule power enveloped Ancestor Baze's entire body. Devour. Xiao Lang roared, and the devouring rule power was exerted. As Ancestor Baze screamed, the rule power on his body, then his physical body, and finally his soul were all devoured by Xiao Lang. Ancestor Baze, who was enveloped by the Destiny Fire of 10,000 Calamities, didn't expect the flames to contain the devouring rule power. He couldn't resist it effectively, and Xiao Lang succeeded. What surprised Xiao Lang was that after devouring Ancestor Baze, he realized that his power had actually increased. This was undoubtedly a pleasant surprise. Originally, he could only devour existences with the fire attribute to increase his power. But now, why could devouring the life of this ancestor also increase his power? Today, at 17:15, I will send out another red packet on WeChat. Please follow me. Also, I will announce the release date and introduction of my new book. Please look forward to it. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.